What's up, duelists? Finally, dinosaur deck profile time. Long awaited, long awaited. I've been working on this deck for 3 weeks. Before we get into anything, this weekend is the last RBET online of the season. Make sure you join the Really Big Yu-Gi-Oh! Discord in the description below. Come play in it. It's free to enter, and there's going to be cool prizes and stuff, and you get featured on the channel, and you get the vibe. This deck is super fun and not quite perfected yet, but it has some room to grow, and it has some really strong synergies. I've been practicing with it for the last 3 weeks. I've got gameplay for you guys, and I've got 2 tournaments worth of footage for you guys. Let's just get into it. We got 2 Gilosaurus. This is a dinosaur deck, so you have to play Gilosaurus. I actually think in the future, I want to play 3 of this card. He can special summon from your hand, and that's just incredibly useful. The fact that he's actually level 3 comes up a lot too. But yeah, this card's really good. Just being an extra summon is super important. There's an OTK with this card that I'll tell you about in a second. The next dinosaur you play is Triple Sabersaurus. This is kind of your premier bread and butter normal summon for the early game. 1900 vanilla, it's not very good, but it does work with a couple of the different cards, and it's part of your OTK setup as well. 1 Frostosaurus. This card is surprisingly good. It has done some work here and there for me, but mostly you're just playing this as a 7th target for Common Charity, which obviously we'll get into in a second. For the rest of the dinosaurs, we're playing Triple Tyranno Infinity. This is the best late game card in the deck. It is plus 1000 attack for every dinosaur that is removed from play. So for each one of these cards that gets removed from play, including other copies of this throughout the game, he slowly gets more powerful, and the idea of the game is to sort of grind out the game with these cards and then get to this guy where he's like 4,000 to 7,000 attack, and you just start beating down your opponent with a huge monster. So that's kind of the game plan of the deck. Do want to shout out Artemis because he came up with the idea for this deck. I'll put his Discord name somewhere around here. But yeah, shout out to Artemis. I stole a lot of his ideas for creating this deck, basically. Moving on, the non-dinosaur monsters. You can't play all dinosaurs, unfortunately, because there just aren't enough good dinosaurs or playable dinosaurs. Beyond this, the only other playable dinosaur is like a 3rd Gilosaurus. We do play 1 Grenmaju. This guy is really interesting. He's like a Tyranno Infinity, but he also gains defense, and he's really good in like the super grindy games. This card combos with a couple of other things. I think moving forward, what I would do is I would play 3 copies of this. Triple Guardian Iatos. Shout out to Sebastian for this one. It's a Defissure macro deck, and this card is part of your OTK setup, which is just Gilosaurus, double Iatos, and 1 Sabersaurus, and this is 8,300 damage. So yeah, really strong. This deck also does play main deck Soul Release, so this card's basically never dead. It's just a 2,500 special summon, which is incredibly powerful, and then Triple Cyber Valley to round things out. This card is pretty good in this deck. It works with Gilosaurus exceptionally well. This is kind of your dream starting play where you special Gilosaurus and then you normal Cyber Valley and then you banish both to draw 2 cards, and it gets you 1 dinosaur in the banish zone for your Tyranno Infinities. That's all the monsters in the deck. You could make an argument for changing a lot of this. You could play stuff like Raikou in the main, and you can play stuff like more copies of Grenmaju in the main as well. Spell cards, Triple Fossil Dig. This card's great. It searches any of your dinosaurs. So early game, it can search you the Gilosaurus to get the draw for the Cyber Valley, or it can search you for Sabersaurus or Frostosaurus if you need a brain control conversion. This guy is your brain control conversion. And then late game, it can search for Tyranno Infinity. So it gets you your whole deck, and it's plus 1 card in the graveyard or banish zone for Soul Release or Macrocosmos, which fuels your late game Grenmajus. Triple Defissure. This is a triple dimensional fissure, and I'll just go over it now. I mean, there's triple Macrocosmos as well. Play full 6 of this. If you don't draw these, your deck is pretty underpowered. You need to draw these. This card's really good against Blackwings, and it's really good against Frogs. So 1 brain control. This card is great in this deck. You play Triple Cyber Valley. You also play Triple Fossil Dig for the, the Frostosaurus. So you could brain something and then sack it for Frostosaurus. And one thing about this deck is that it's incredibly efficient at putting up a shit ton of damage. So brain control, just as a way to clear a monster out of the way and go for game, is pretty strong in this deck. Like, even if you just have like Iatos plus like Gilosaurus turn 1 and you hit for 39, and then the next turn you brain something and then you just attack for game, it comes up a lot. It's one of the best cards in the deck for sure. Now, the card I think I would cut is probably Upstart Goblin. I was playing these to guarantee that I saw the dimensional fissures and the macrocosmoses as early as possible, and I'm really on the fence about it, but I think the extra life points it gives is just it's just too weak. It's just too weak. And what I would actually swap this card for is I would swap it for Lightning Vortex. I was playing Lightning Vortexes in the side, and I would just play the full 3 copies of this. You could even play this with the Upstart Goblins and find other things to cut, but Lightning Vortex is so good in this deck, and I was siding it in every matchup, and it's just such an important card because, like, let's say you dead draw one of these. Lightning Vortex converts it, right? Or let's say you have one of these up already and you just need to get an extra dinosaur in your banish zone to pump up your infinity. Well, Lightning Vortex pitches it. There's some tricks you can do with Lightning Vortex where you normal summon Tyranno Infinity while it's weak, and then you activate Lightning Vortex to play around Bottomless Trap Hole. I'll tell you more about that later. But yeah, I think main decking Lightning Vortex is super important in this deck, and I was just citing it in every match. And I didn't change this build between tournaments, but in the future, I think what I would do is I would main deck the Lightning Vortex. It's too important for this deck. And then Double Soul Release. This is the last of the spell cards. I think you could even play 3 of this, especially if you move away from Upstart Goblin. I think you need 9 ways to control the graveyard between the Soul Releases and the Macrocosmoses. If you cut these, then you probably need to play the full 3 Soul Release. So maybe like 2 Vortex, 1 Soul Release instead of the Upstarts. Or there are some other cards you could cut into to make room for the Vortex as well. It doesn't have to necessarily be the Upstarts. Soul Release is pretty crucial. If you go second versus Frogs, sometimes they'll just have a chance to lay their Treeborn, and you just want to be able to banish that. Or like, let's say you're playing a game where like the first few turns you didn't have Defissure Macro, or they were able to clear your lone Defissure Macro and you get a few guys in the graveyard. You just need to be able to empty the graveyard for your future Iados or to set up for your Tyranno Infinities, that sort of thing. Very important card in this deck. You could honestly play 3. Trap cards. 1 Solemn Judgment, 1 Mirror Force. These are fine. I think Solemn Judgment is just mandatory because you're playing a Rushdown OTK deck. And Mirror Force is honestly pretty bad. I cut it a lot. I like side it out a lot. This could also be a Lightning Vortex. 1 Starlight Road. This card's very good. Like I said, you're an OTK deck, you're a Rushdown deck, so this card works perfectly. It also works with like Defissure Macro, that sort of thing. Yeah, great card. Definitely play 1. Triple Common Charity. So this is like your Allure of Darkness. This card is pretty good in this deck, but it is also a little awkward at times just because you have to have a vanilla, or you have to have a Fossil Dig that you want to burn on a vanilla. So I don't know. You really only have 7 targets, which is a little bit below what I would like to play. Given that the rest of the deck is draw power, it's just 2 Legacy and 1 Jar and 3 Upstart, I was pretty comfortable with these ratios of like 7 and then a bunch of ways to find the normals have Common Charity, but this card often gets sided out because you just... There are some hands where you like really can't afford to banish your normal because it's your only monster in hand and you have to summon it. Or like, let's say you summon it turn 1 and then you draw into this turn 2 and then you just like, that's awkward. It's just a very awkward card. So I don't really know if playing the full 3 is worth it, but I'd play at least 1. I think 1 is probably fine. The full 3 is a little bit inconsistent, weird as it sounds. If you're playing like Lightning Vortex, it kind of serves the same function of like discarding a guy and getting it in the banish zone, or Raikou, discarding a guy and getting him in the banish zone for your Tyranno Infinity, but it also isn't dependent on you having specifically a normal monster to be live. So I think that like something that isn't dependent on having specifically a normal monster could be much more beneficial in the spot than Common Charity. It is pretty good when it goes off, but again, it's just a little too inconsistent. Legacy and Jar is good though. Like, yeah, this is the standard ratio. People are gonna ask in the comments like why you play Legacy and Jar instead of just 3 of one or 3 of the other, but you play this because it tricks your opponent into thinking that you play maybe 6 total, because like why would you play the Jar before you played 3 Legacy, that type of thing. So these get sided out a lot, but they also fuel the Grin Maju. So that's the whole main deck. The deck is like super turbo. You have like 12 draw cards between that and the Cyber Valleys, and then 3 search cards, so 15 ways to sort of churn through your deck, and then the rest is just like the 3 best pieces of interaction. I think Mirror Force, Solemn, and Brain, Floodgates, ways to hate the graveyard, and set up your own big boss monsters, and then OTK material and a Starlight Road. So yeah, very straightforward, but I do think that the biggest change I would make with this deck is adding 3 Lightning Vortex moving forward. I think that that's just like what needs to happen to the main deck. The extra deck actually is pretty important, and it does come up quite a bit. 1 Armory Arm, 1 Catastor. This is all like, this stuff doesn't come up. These can come up. Sometimes you like Brain a Plague or something and you make it with Gillosaurus. Urukizis, Brownic, Goyo Guardian. I've made all of these actually by braining Gale and taking them to Synchro with Gillosaurus. So in testing, I've made all 3 of these. They all do come up, and you could possibly even play Gaia Knight as well, but I've never had 2 level 6s come up, and if you're making Gaia Knight, then you're always just making Goyo anyway, so I think these 3 are definitely mandatory. And then these are the 7s that I played that have all also come up. There's a Ancient Fairy Dragon, an Herbellum, a Black Rose, a Psychic Life Transfer, and a Blackwing Armor Master. Again, you don't play Gale, but Oftentimes against Blackwings, their only play will be to like normal summon Gale, have your guy and run it over, and then your brain control can take their guy and you can make an Armor Master. But I've also had like Psychic Life Transfer come up because I want to make something that I can put in defense position that has more defense than Black Rose that can't be run over by Sirocco. So that has come up a few times. Yeah, there's just like a couple. These are just what have come up. And again, like I don't play any tuners in this deck, so it's not like you're aggressively making these, but they do come up quite a bit, especially when you're stealing Gale. 2 Stardust, this comes up with Starlight Road. Can't really make it otherwise. And then 2 Chimera Tech. You don't play Cyber Dragon, so this doesn't really come up. But if they do mess up, you can punish them for it. So that's the extra. The side deck, 2 Raikos, 2 Grenmaju. These are MVPs. They're very good in post-war games to the point where I think you could just main these, honestly. If you were going to copy this deck, I'd say main some copy of these and like cut into the draw engine, because the draw engine is like, it's not great. I'm gonna be honest, it's not great. I think just having like the removal as a way to churn through the deck, Raikos, this honestly with macro up is crazy because you pop something and then you banish 3 cards and it's 4 cards into the banish zone. It's plus 1600 to your Grenmajus, which is like really, really strong. Yeah, just unbelievably strong combination when you have Macro Cosmos up. Knock, Mind Control, this is for opposing Raikos. Nice thing you can do as well is like side in your Raikos against opposing Raikos. When you knock their Raiko, it banishes both of yours, and that's plus 800 to your Grenmajus, which is really nice. Space Typhoon, gotta play it, cards too important. 2 Dust Tornado, gotta play them, cards are too important. These out, Gravity Bind, Level Limit, Area B. You don't instant lose because you have Grenmaju, but those cards are rough. Also, Skill Drain is rough. This deck can't really play through Skill Drain that well. Double Lightning Vortex, like I said, probably should just be 3, and they should probably just be mained. But yeah, I was playing 1 Smashing, 2 Lightning Vortex, and they are phenomenal. Every game I drew them, I felt like they were really, really strong. And then the rest is trap cards, which I thought were actually all quite bad. It's just Torrential 2 Bottomless. These, honestly, this could have been a Lightning Vortex, and these could have been more Lightning Vortex. So you should just play like 17 Lightning Vortex. Honestly, that's the strat. Anyway, this is the deck. This is the deck that I'm going to be playing in the matches that you guys are going to see. But like I said, there's definitely some changes I would make to it, and I think this deck does have a lot of potential, but this is definitely a bit rough around the edges with regards to something I would recommend taking to a tournament yourself. All right, let's get into the matches. Hopping into the gameplay now, boys. You know how it is. The first match I want to show you guys is up against Cheeto. We are going to win the rock, paper, scissors, and this is kind of a proof of concept match. If this deck does well in this matchup, then it's kind of, you know, at least somewhat viable of a strategy. I open up pretty strong. I've got Starlight Road, Common Charity, Legacy. The Common Charity has a target, and we have additional normal summons. But that being said, I don't have a D-Fissure or a Macro Cosmos, so committing a monster right now would require me to find a Soul Release if it is to die. So I decided to just pass, because I don't want to commit a monster and then be required to draw into one of my 2 Soul Release in order to play the game. So yeah, you really have to be careful summoning monsters in this strategy. I learned that kind of the hard way when I was practicing different builds of this. You get the idea. Anyway, opponent sets a monster. You already see. We're playing against Blackwings. I draw for turn. Standby phase. I draw into Frostosaurus. Not very good. I'm just going to flip Common Charity and try to find a D-Fissure here. I draw Upstart and Legacy of Yada. So you can see how quickly this deck like churns through its cards. I mean, this is turn 2. I'm already 10 cards deep. Looking to be 12 cards deep. And we do finally find a D-Fissure. So that's nice. This is a good part of the draw cards in this deck, is that you will pretty consistently find D-Fissure. The issue is that there are some hands where you don't draw a good mix of draw power and D-Fissure and threats like this. You'll just draw like 6 D-Fissure cards or like 4 D-Fissure cards and a Soul Release, and you'll just be like, what the fuck? And your opponent will just beat you to death with like a Bora or something like that after they deprison your 1 threat. So I'm going to show you guys an updated build at the end of this video that it fixes some of the problems, patches some of the problems, and it has some of the things that I think would correct the deck a bit more to compensate for that sort of thing. Anyway, Gilosaurus just attacks. He's going to go for the Icarus attack, and this is the nice thing about D-Fissure is unless they chain the Icarus attack to the D-Fissure activation, what they sacrifice is going to end up getting banished, which is really nice, even if they do target the D-Fissure after it's resolved or whatever. We do have Starlight Road, so I'm just going to flip it, and they're going to Solemn here. So we're not going to be able to chain Legacy, because I can't chain Legacy to Solemn Judgment. So that does kind of suck. But the D-Fissure is going to stick around, and that's honestly all I really care about, because, yeah, that's honestly all I really care about. I go ahead and attack for 14, and they drop to 3,100. So we have one dinosaur banished, we have another banished, and a third looking to be banished. So we have 3 dinosaurs that could be banished, and we could set up for a 3,000 attack point Tyranno Infinity. I set the legacy, draw a card, we find Guardian Iados, which is really nice because that's just game. Oh my gosh, sorry, let me mute my phone real quick. Then we got this lethal attacker, Sabersaurus right here. Normal summon, attack for 14, attack for game. No, D-prison. But one of the nice things about this deck is that when you're in the position where your opponents may be a little bit monster light, Sabersaurus into D-prison or bottomless is really, really nice because it's a 1-for-1 trade that also gives you Axe of Despairs on your Tyranno Infinity later in the game. Pass the turn back. He's going to flip his own Legacy of Yatagarasu. He's going to Typhoon our back row. We're going to chain Legacy, draw into an Upstart Goblin. And he's going to go for Shura, attack over Gilosaurus. This is another reason why I really, really like D-Fissure in this matchup. It just invalidates cards like Shura. It turns them into vanilla monsters and makes it so they don't have an effect and they don't get any benefit from the synergies of like Blizzard or Kalut, which is really, really nice. So sets the back row. Sure, it does need to send the monster to the graveyard to gain the effect, for those wondering. Now we do draw into Macrocosmos. We could Upstart Goblin here, but it's going to make him a little bit, lower life total, or higher life total, and it's going to make it harder for us to kill him. So let's say we Upstart Goblin here. He would go to 1,900 life points after using this Royal Oppression. That would make it so that even if we Fossil Dig for the Tyranno Infinity and normal summon it and attack his guy, it won't be lethal. So I have decided to lead on Iados before activating Upstart Goblin. In the case that the back row is Royal Oppression, it is. Now we can just Fossil Dig for Tyranno Infinity. We have 3 dinosaurs banished, and you can kind of see how this deck works. You want to get to a point where you have a bunch of dinos banished, and then you spam these huge Tyranno Infinities till the game is closed out. It's a hyper-offensive deck. You're looking to just throw your resources at your opponent. You don't really care if they die because it just pumps your guy later in the game, and that's how it works. Against Blackwings, they have to have kind of like a stereotypical draw for you to really pull that off consistently, but you know, it worked out that game, which was really nice. And they did have an Icarus attack. They did have ways to interact with us, and they, you know, just, yeah, you get the idea. Anyway, here comes Shura, set 2 back row, pass a turn. We're going to draw in a Mirror Force. So you can kind of see Mirror Force pretty useful, Dust Tornado pretty useful, Common Charity very useful. Just set 3 here, I believe. Just pass. If he end phase Icaruses, then we still get to keep one of our cards, which isn't the end of the world. Here, I just Mirror Force because I don't want to take a bunch of damage and I want to be able to chill. But I could have also waited on this Mirror Force. I'm not really sure. It might have been better to wait because now Blizzard is live. If I wait till I find a Macrocosmos or a D-Fissure, that could be really nice. I just didn't want to play into a possible Starlight Road. I don't know. It's tough because once I've commit the macro or the D-Fissure, if he has Icarus attack, then he has at least 1 good target, whereas here he has 0 good targets for Icarus. I would have liked it if he chained Icarus targeting the other 2, and then we just get 2 chainables, and then we're just up a ton of cards. But yeah, unfortunately, it didn't really work out that way. So it is what it is. We draw bottomless, which is nice. Just going to set that. He sets his back row, passes back. We finally find an opening play, so we're just going to go Common Charity, draw 2, banish the Frostosaurus, activate Dimensional Fissure. So pretty important to get the Dimensional Fissure in play versus Blackwings, because like I said, Kalut, Blizzard are public enemies #1, and just making sure that those cards are dead as soon as possible is key for you to achieve victory. Normal summon Sabersaurus. I could have done a few other things here. I could have Fossil Digged for Gilosaurus, special summoned it, he brings back Shura maybe, and then I activate D-Fissure. That could have been a way to bait him, but then he could have chained Icarus to the D-Fissure activation, and then, yeah, that would have been really ugly. So I didn't think he had Icarus because he didn't use it earlier in the first 2 sets, and as you can see, he doesn't. But the 3rd set could have been another Icarus. It's another Dust Tornado, as you see here. It's 2 Dust Tornadoes, but the 3rd set definitely could have been an Icarus. If it was just the 2 set cards that weren't Icarus, I would have gone Fossil Dig for Gilosaurus, special summoned it, tried to bait him into Shura Revive. He would have had Royal Oppression, which would have been really rough for us, but you know, it's an interesting dynamic there. He might have let it through just to special summon back his Shura in attack position. He's going to go Dust Tornado on the D-Fissure. We're going to lose D-Fissure, which is tough. He's going to normal Sirocco, so that's just bigger than our guy, but we've got Bottomless Trap Holes. So, yeah, side deck Bottomless Trap Holes, putting in some work. He's going to set a back row pass. We draw Guardian Iados. Figured it's best not to overcommit in Mirror Force or Torrential. Just attack with Sabersaurus. He's going to deprison, but that's kind of exactly what we wanted. More dinosaurs banished. And now we have 2,000 Tyranno Infinity into 3,000 Tyranno Infinity off of Fossil Dig. So that's pretty nice. And our graveyard is clear of monsters, so we can use the Guardian Eatos if we want to. I'm going to go ahead and normal Cyber Valley just to block any damage. He's going to normal summon Gale and attempt to Dust Tornado the back row. We've got Chain Dust Tornado on his other back row, so a little bit of patience here. Paying off with the Chainables. He books the Cyber Valley. That's hella rough for us because now we can't special summon the Guardian Eatos. So Book of Moon, really good against us, really good against our deck. Just actionable way to clear the Cyber Valley. And I'm super punished for not committing the Eatos last turn. That being said, he would have been able to have the Eatos and run it over with Gale anyway. So it's like, it wouldn't have really done much. But I've got Torrential here. I just set it because we're not under a ton of pressure. He's only dealing 1,300 a turn. And eventually I can find another Defissure macro or ideally Soul Release and then be able to special summon Eatos. He's going to go ahead and set his back row and just not even attack, which is nice. I'm going to set Macrocosmos, and that's kind of exactly what we wanted. I just take 13. He's going to pass. We're going to draw Bottomless. I'll flip Macro, activate Fossil Dig, go get Sabersaurus. And you want to flip Macro before doing this because just to check to see if they have Oppression. Honestly, because Macrocosmos can be Oppressioned. But then on top of that, you want to banish the Fossil Dig because it is another card in the Banish Zone for Gren Maju. So, yeah, normal summon Sabersaurus, that's going to go through. And here he does finally find the Icarus attack, which sucks. That's another monster in the grave, and we lose our Macrocosmos. That being said, his Gale is banished, so he's like pretty far off Dad, which I guess is nice, and that Gale's never coming back this game. And we've got 2 summon stops, and we've got a 2k monster in hand, so possibly we could sneak this one out. He's going to go Soro. I was like, wait, he can't even summon this. I just flipped this before even looking at what his monster was because I was like, oh, he summoned a Blackwing monster. I'm just going to flip Bottomless. But I was clearly not paying attention, as you can tell. I was like, wait, you can't even summon that. I don't even have a monster in play. He just sets passes. We find Defissure, which is nice. Activate normal Tyranno Infinity. I decide, okay, you're going to have to deal with this Tyranno with Sirocco or whatever. And I have Bottomless for that, so I'll just swing into the back row and he ends up having another Book of Moon. So multiple Book of Moon, pretty good against our deck. Just able to deal with Tyranno Infinity. It's not as good against Gren Maju, but we are nowhere near having a powerful Gren Maju yet. He's going to go ahead and normal Blizzard, activate the effect. I'm going to try to Torrential here. And now we have 3 Dinos banished, so if we find another Tyranno Infinity, it's actually going to be pretty good. Sabersaurus, going to do a little pressuring, pass the turn back. He has to go Sirocco. We have Bottomless for that. And now his whole graveyard is monster zero monsters basically, which is nice. I draw Space Typhoon, a little bit late to the party here, but you know, just hit for 19. Set the Space Typhoon, pass. He normal Sirocco. Okay, please God, give me a fucking Tyranno Infinity off the top or a Fossil Dig. We have 4 really good draws in 22 cards. Other than that, though, Soul Release is pretty good too because it'll allow us to special Guardian Eatos. We draw into another Macrocosmos, and so a little bit unfortunate top deck. Just going to set it and pass. He's going to attack for 2k again. Drop to 46. We draw a second Eatos, so it's all coming back to that Book of Moon on that Cyber Valley. Really, really unfortunate turn for us where we lost our back row, and then we were not able to defend. He's going to hit us for 2,000. That's pretty do or die if he has another monster here. We will lose next turn, so what are we going to draw? Gren Maju. So I'm going to activate Macrocosmos. And this is a pretty good draw for us for a number of reasons. It will allow us to get used out of this Macrocosmos. Then I'm going to Space Typhoon my own Defissure. This is an interesting play, but it's just to get 2 more cards in the Banish Zone so that our Gren Maju is 2,800 attack. I'm going to normal summon it, attack. I'm fairly certain I'm dying to a Brain Control next turn because he has 5 cards in hand that he hasn't played the whole game. I pass, he sets a monster, and I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. Do you just lose? What's in your hand? And it turns out he did. He just lost. Dark-Armed Dragon, Kalut, Bora, Shura don't do anything when Macrocosmos is in play. So he literally had just 6 dead cards. Macrocosmos and Defissure are really effective floodgates against Blackwing. So, yeah, it just worked out really well for us. He could have specialed more Boras. Like, he could have done, like, I don't know, summon Shura, special Bora in defense, that type of thing. But even that's not great. I decided to just go for game because I figured there's not really much in Blackwing deck that has more than 1,400 defense. So, why the fuck not? Attack for game, and yeah, it worked out well. Lucky top deck Gren Maju on the last possible turn, and then the heads up play to Space Typhoon our own Defissure. There's a lot of lines like this to get cards in your Banish Zone that are not very intuitive with this deck, and you do have to kind of think in a weird sort of way where like every card that hits the banish zone is like plus 400 to Grand Maju. It's like you have all these pump spells in your deck, or you can turn any card into a pump spell if you just throw it into the banish bin. So that's kind of like something you have to constantly be thinking about. Do I want to destroy my own cards? Do I want to set Tyranno Infinity early on because it will add up as a banish card for further Tyranno Infinities or further Grand Majus, that type of thing. We would have drawn Soul Release the next turn. We would have been able to banish our own monsters, not only pump up our own Grand Maju, but also special summon the Guardian Yatos. And we are very lucky here to have dodged Brain Control as well as, like, I don't know, Black Whirlwind, I guess, to a degree. He did draw all 3 Sirocco, which is kind of the best card against us, but it still wasn't enough. So, proof of concept, the deck does work. The deck does beat Blackwings. Let's go ahead and move on to the next match. I think the deck actually has a pretty good Blackwing matchup from the times that I played against it. I'm going to show you a few more matches against Blackwings. That being said, I just don't think the deck has a great matchup against some other decks with its current configuration. So, yeah, we open up with both our removal, which is pretty good, but we don't open up with the Defissure or the Macro. So we're going to start off with Gillosaurus plus Cyber Valley, which is the key draw. Draw into 2 new cards, and boom, there's the Defissure. So pretty great opening hand. Defissure Macro, not Macro, Defissure Mirror Force, Solemn Judgment. You get the idea. Set, activate Defissure, pass. He's going to set a monster. We're going to draw Sabersaurus. That's an easy summon for me. Or am I going to go Gillosaurus? I don't remember. Oh, special normal. I'm trying to get damage across, but he has the Mind Protector, so this is a little bit awkward. I think a bit of an overcommitment on my part. It might have been a greedy play, but I just wanted to get damage. Like I said, you really want to just fling your cards at your opponent with this deck and then hope to top deck either a Fossil Dig or an Infinity or a Grand Maju once a lot of your cards have loaded into the banish zone. Go ahead and just pass the turn back. He has to pay 500 life points during his standby phase, so he does that. He activates Mind Control on Sabersaurus. He refreshes the duel. Normal summon Psychic Commander. So he is playing like a Psychic deck. I don't know. This is a cool match. I just wanted to show it to you guys because it showcases some of the strengths of this deck. I'm just going to let this happen. He's going to go Black Rose, and I'm going to Solemn Judgment that. So, yeah, we do lose our Sabersaurus, but pretty happy to just see my dinosaur go to the banish pile. Every dinosaur that goes to the banish pile is plus 1,000 to the Tyranno Infinity. We draw for turn. We draw Soul Release, which is fine. Just going to sack the Gillosaurus for Frostosaurus and run over his guy. Keep it simple. We draw into Common Charity, and this is kind of like an awkward moment where, like, if I didn't have specifically... Well, here's the thing. I think this is an awkward moment for a lot of reasons. We've burnt both of our vanillas at this point, right? So drawing into Common Charity is, like, kind of stupid. It's, like, kind of not great. I could Fossil Dig for Sabersaurus and just keep it in hand to Common Charity away. Or I could just Fossil Dig for Tyranno Infinity right now and hit him for 56. But the fact of the matter is you want to play your vanillas. So holding them in hand to banish the Common Charity, it just doesn't line up as well as you'd think. It doesn't line up, and it's not a good mid-game or late-game top deck to find Common Charity most of the time. It's like a pretty bad late-game to mid-game top deck. So even though, like, on paper, it's like, oh, yeah, draw 2 cards, that's really strong. It's just, in practice, it just doesn't line up super, super well with the deck. You don't play enough vanillas. I think 7 is just too few. And the fact is you have to burn a Fossil Dig to, like, get your vanilla a lot of the time. So it's not like you're banishing a vanilla. It's like you're banishing a Fossil Dig, which is one of your best cards. So it feels pretty bad in a lot of circumstances to banish it. I ended up just going for 2,600. I don't know if this is correct. I was a little bit scared of Gores, so I just did that. And then I Fossil Dig here for Sabersaurus and set the Common Charity. I don't know if this was the correct play, though. I probably could have just gone for Tyranno Infinity, hit him for 56, and it just passed. But I decided to go for the Common Charity here. He special Sidra in defense to sort of defend himself, I guess. Flip Common Charity, draw 2, banish. And, like, look, I didn't even draw into a payoff. I drew into another draw trap. So it's like, oftentimes you're banishing a card you'd rather just have in your hand, which is like, it's not great. It's not great. And Sabersaurus is not a good card, right? Like, these are not good cards, but they're kind of integral to your opening performance. Like, they kind of are mandatory for you to have, like, this opening play so that your Tyranno Infinities later on are good. Without them, you can't really, like, just apply the appropriate pressure so that your Tyranno Infinity will eventually be lethal. So Yeah, a little bit awkward, but it's not the end of the world. I mean, we're in a pretty commanding position this game. I'm pretty sure D Fisher is like doing some work on his hand. Yeah, it looks like it is. And it looks like he just can't get over Frostosaurus. 2600 is pretty strong. Gets over Monarchs and it gets over Stardust. So, yeah, pretty strong. He Gold Sarks for Caius. I'm just going to fire off the Legacies and hope to draw into something good. We do. We draw into Grand Maju. I can just summon the Grand Maju and then just Soul Release, banish a bunch of cards. He becomes 4,000. I attack here. I attack directly. He could brain control my Grand Maju, which is a little bit scary, but he's now at 900, which is kind of nice. I just set, pass. Even if he finds Heavy Storm, I just don't really see him beating me with 4 cards through 2 huge monsters this turn. It's possible. It's just very unlikely. And then he concedes. So, yeah. Yeah, D-Fissure putting in a lot of work. And you're going to notice that in a lot of matches with this deck is that the games you're winning are the games where your D-Fissure is putting in a lot of work. And the games you're losing are the games where D-Fissure is just really not doing enough heavy lifting. I'm going second this game. He Gold Sarks for Chaos Sorcerer. I don't really understand this play. Like, I'm playing D-Fissure, so why are you Gold Sarking for something that requires a graveyard? It just doesn't make any sense. Normal Sabersaurus, set 3. He's going to normal Psychic Commander. E-Telly. I'm going to chain Macro to the E-Telly. I don't know why I did this, but I don't know. Maybe he has Magical Stone to get back E-Telly or some shit like that. He flips Level Eater. He's going to go for a Synchro play now. He's going to try to Black Rose, but once again, we have the Solemn. So having Solemn and having Road and having a ton of chainables is really important because oftentimes decks can't really play under Macrocosmos, and one of the few ways they can play is like set a Debris Dragon or summon a Krebins and or special Cyber Dragon and try to synchro with their Plague into Black Rose. And that's like one of the few ways they can try and do something against Macrocosmos or D-Fissure. And so making sure you have the appropriate protection for that is pretty crucial. Just going to summon the Black Rose again. Drop to 4K. We find D-Fissure. Attack for 19. I could have summoned the Helosaurus. I'm not really sure. But I just didn't for whatever reason. He gets Sork. Yeah, he's going to special Cyber Dragon, activate Brain Control, and this would be game, but we once again do have our one of Mirror Force, so I drew pretty insane this game, I'm not going to lie. Game 1 and Game 2, I did draw my Solemn and my Mirror Force, but keep in mind how important these 2 cards were because they are going to factor into my decisions when showing you guys the revised build at the end of this video. Here I'm just going to normal Gilosaurus, try to get some damage in, try to power up my Infinity. I don't really have a lot going on for me right now. I have once again, multiple copies of these, just kind of hoping Macrocosmos does enough work to matter. Find Brain Control, which is a decent card here. We attack and we reveal Substitute, so that's another card that really just doesn't do anything into Macrocosmos. He's going to set a card pass. We're going to draw our 4th copy of this card, and at this point I'm just like, bruh. Activate pass. Let's see what's in his hand. He couldn't really have done anything. This deck looks interesting, but just not great, Normal Cyber Valley, he trenches both, so that's pretty tough, but, it's one more dinosaur banished for the whatever the fuck. I don't remember. Summons Krebins, attacks for 12. We're kind of falling low here. Draw for turn is the Fossil Dig, I believe, so we'll be able to Fossil Dig for another Gilosaurus. Special summon that, Brain Control, take the Krebins, Synchro into Magical Android, normal summon a 3000 Tyranno Infinity, attack over the Substitute, drop him to 900, and then gain 600 life points and pass. He's going to go ahead and concede there, so yeah, a lot of synergies that just didn't really add up for him, and he was kind of shut off by Macro D-Fissure. But yeah, like I said, you saw sort of the weakness in this game. We didn't really have a way to churn through our deck. We didn't really ever get into our draw engine. And you also saw us draw multiple copies of D-Fissure, Macro, and Soul Release, which is part of the weakness of this deck for sure. All right, next match. The next match is up against Kopit. This is actually going to be 2 matches up against Kopit, who is playing Black Wings. So, yeah, I'm going to show you 2 matches, I believe. Yep. So we win the rock, paper, scissors, and as you can see in our starting hand, there is no Macrocosmos and no D-Fissure. So I go ahead and summon both because I have Solemn Judgment, so I'm kind of thinking I'm safe from, something. He summons Shura, and I'm like, fuck me, I have to Solemn this, because if he has Kalut, then A monster's hitting the grave, and he's making a Catastor, and we don't really have great ways of dealing with Catastor in this deck game 1. We have actually no removal in our deck game 1 except for Mirror Force, Brain Control, and Solemn. So can't really allow that to happen. Have to Solemn Judgment. He's going to set 3 and pass the turn. I'm going to fire off Common Charity, and we are going to miss 9 cards deep, no additional draw, no Defissure macro, no Soul Release. So if you think about the chances of this specific scenario happening, it is highly unlikely. Let's go ahead and pull up the draw nexus, the draw odds calculator, and I can show you guys exactly how unlikely this is. So our deck is 40 cards, right? And in the top 9 cards of our deck to have, what is it? Where was I? Okay, hold on. I have the deck pulled up here somewhere. I think this isn't. Yeah, this is it. This is the deck. Okay. So as you can see, we have 6 copies of Defissure Macro. We have 2 copies of Soul Release, so that's 8. And then we have 3 copies of Upstart Goblin, so that's 11. We also have 3 copies of Draw Traps, that is 14. We have 2 additional copies of Common Charity past the first one, so it's 16. And then on top of that, we have 3 Cyber Valleys, so it's 19 cards in our deck. So we've drawn 9 cards, and there are 19 copies ran, right? Or no, there are 19 copies remaining, I guess, right? How does it work? My fucking brain is collapsing inwards because I've been playing Dinosaurs for the last 2 weeks. I'm literally reverting to like Stegosaurus pre-evolutionary levels of thought. I don't know what the fuck this is, but I'm just gonna click calculate. The odds to have less than or equal to 1 in the top 9 cards of your deck, I'm assuming, is 1.5%. I am 99% likely to not have this hand happen. And as you can see, it has happened. So this is a very unlikely hand. However, it is the hand that we have been dealt. This is the hand that has happened to us. So I'm going to attack just because the only way I'm winning this is if he just, I don't know, doesn't draw another fucking monster. What are the chances? 0. Of course. 0. And he's got Gale too. So we're losing our whole board and we're losing this game. Just undoubtedly. Like this is just like, this is a freak hand that shouldn't happen. This is just a hand that shouldn't happen, right? Like we should have at least found another redraw or another way to dig towards the thing or whatever, but just like we happen to open up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 7 monster cards, right? And we could have even fossil dig to like thin our deck even more, but decided against it. We Upstart Goblin, we find Brain Control, and that does open up a lot of plays here. We can fossil dig, find Sabersaurus. I just basically have to hope that this resolves. I considered playing around Bottomless Trap Hole by going Fossil Dig for Tyranno Infinity, and then summoning that, and then Brain Controlling Gale and trying to Black Rose him. That was kind of my goal, but I'm fairly certain he has Solemn Judgment set, or Icarus Attack, or something along those lines, because because of the way he's played this turn. He decided not to Gale have the Iados, instead he Gale halved the Sabersaurus. If he didn't have Icarus Attack, then it's possible he would have halved the Iados and then ran over and stolen the Sabersaurus to make an Armor Master against us. So, yeah, I think I'm just going to normal summon Sabersaurus, Brain Control the Gale, and he's got Solemn Judgment. So I'm just like, all right, you got us this time. You got us. So we had a very unlikely circumstance happen to us where we drew double Gillosaurus, and I think that's like, that's part of the argument to play less than 3 Gillosaurus, but there are definitely circumstances where the 3rd Gillosaurus does come up, and yeah, we'll see. Yeah. So that was a tough game, like a really, really tough game. And this game we also didn't open up with draw cards or macro or defissure, but I do usually side out some of the draw cards for some of this removal, so it's not the end of the world. Just going to special, draw 2, and oh, we do have a draw card. We have Cyber Valley. I don't know what I'm talking about. And we have Upstart Goblin here, which is nice. And we're going to be able to find Starlight Road, so it's just like, it's a solid hand here. Just set, special Iados, pass a turn. Do this to play around Royal Oppression. He's going to normal Blackwing Sirocco. I'm just going to bottomless that because this card is too strong. He's going to set, pass. I'm going to normal summon Sabersaurus and try to get a bunch of damage in. And that's just going to work. Psych, he has Deep Prison. Never mind. So Yeah, a little bit annoying. Maybe I should have held off on using the Iados. Who knows? Right? I set the Smashing Ground because I want him to Heavy Storm if he has it. He's going to summon Bora. He's just going to pass. We draw Macro, which is great. It is either going to force an Oppression activation or it is going to Posture as a way to play through Collude. So, yeah, he's going to summon Shura here and pass. We draw D-Fissure, which is very nice. Just activate that. Attack the Shura. He's going to take 100. Lose his Shura forever. Main phase 2, I'm going to flip Smashing Ground to banish his Bora forever. So now, I'm not staring down any monsters. The only thing that beats Sabersaurus at this point is Gale or one of his 2 remaining copies of Sirocco. So he has 3 monsters in his 35 cards left that attack over Sabersaurus that don't require some type of combo. And then we've got Starlight Road plus Macrocosmos to sort of like maybe stabilize. And even if the Sabersaurus does die, then we've got a powerful Tyranno Infinity that we're building up towards. Main phase 2, this is another thing that I considered, is that main phase 2, I could level up my Sabersaurus to play around Sirocco. I could sacrifice it for Frostosaurus. And in doing so, I would get a 3rd dinosaur in the rotation. The reason I don't do this is because I'm playing Common Charity in my deck. If I was not playing Common Charity in my deck, I would just level up the Sabersaurus, no thoughts whatsoever, and I would have a 3000 Tyranno Infinity on the horizon. That being said, I factor in that I do play Common Charity in my deck, and I keep the Frostosaurus in my hand. And it kind of... I don't know. I don't know if it was correct or not. He goes for Heavy Storm. We chain Road. He chains Reckless Greed, which tells me a little bit more about his build, and then he admits defeat. So, yeah, turns out he couldn't beat the Sabersaurus because you're just unlikely to be able to beat it with D-Fissure up, because these cards are just invalidated, and that's how it works. So, yep. Game 3. Game 3 is a tough one. We are going second, and our opening hand's not great. Like, opening double bottomless going second is always rough, right? Draw for turn. I set a bottomless. I pass. He sets a card, passes. I activate D-Fissure, pass. Because I have 2 D-Fissures, I pass. He passes. He draws. He goes Lure of Darkness, draw 2, banish. So, just slow start on our end. And it's going to turn into a rough start on his as well. Or not a rough start, but a rough game for us, basically. He's going to upstart, or we're going to upstart, drawing a Frostosaurus. Just tough hand. You know, just a tough hand. No Iados, no Cyber Valley, no draw cards besides the upstart. So, it's fine. It's fine, Copium. He flips D Prison, going to banish Sabersaurus. He's going to set a back row pass. We're going to normal summon Gilosaurus, attack for 14. I'm just trying to bait him to play into something bottomless, ideally. I go ahead and set bottomless and activate a 2nd D-Fissure. This is probably a misplay. Probably shouldn't have done this. But he's going to go Legacy. He's going to set a back row pass. I'm going to sacrifice for Frostosaurus. He's going to go for the bottomless trap hole. I'm going to try to special Iados here, and that's just going to resolve. So now I have Iados, double bottomless, double D-Fissure, hoping that these 2 Tyranno Infinities will carry me with 3 Dinosaurs banished. I attack for 25, pass the turn. He goes for Heavy Storm, chain Legacy, chain Reckless Greed, and I'm just like, fuck. But there's still a chance we can win this, right? There's still a chance we can win this. If he only sets up 1 monster or whatever, there's still a chance we can win this, Copium. But he's going to be able to collude over Iados. Top deck Iados is not going to be dead. You can see here the Smashing Ground looking infinitely worse than a Lightning Vortex. He's going to grab Gale. He's going to attack for 13. He's going to synchro into Armor Master, set a background pass. Now, at this point in the game, he could just Erad me for spells, and that'd probably be pretty good. But we can't really get over Armor Master with our hand, not counting the Smashing Ground. I don't know. I don't know if I played this one right. I probably should have just smashed here. I decide to summon Cyber Valley, and he goes for Reckless Greed on the end phase and Legacy as well. I don't know why I didn't Smashing Ground this Armor Master. I guess I was trying to bait him into... I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure what my thought process was here. I had a lot of plays. I could have Fossil Dig for Gilosaurus, specialed that. He brings back a guy. We run it over with Gilosaurus. Well, he could bring back Shura, I guess, so we couldn't guaranteedly run it over. Maybe if I smash the Armor Master, I'm like chilling. But I figured I could always smash it next turn, right? Anyway. He synchros into Bryonic. Bryonic pitches, bounces the Valley. Attack, attack. We draw Macrocosmos, which is a good counter to the Bryonic. So he's draw locked from Reckless. We've got Smashing Ground. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to normal Tyranno Infinity to see if he has another removal spell. Turns out he doesn't. He doesn't chain the Eradicator because he says it's game right now. So I think he's just trying to see more of my deck. I think he thinks he's going to win no matter what. So he doesn't chain the Eradicator because he wants to like see me play this out to see if I can play out from this situation. I'm pretty sure he knows he can chain the Eradicator, but he just chose not to for the sake of playing this game out. Which is interesting. He's obviously curious by this deck because I beat him a game, right? I'm going to flip Macrocosmos in the draw phase, which makes it impossible for Bryonic to activate. And so now I'm kind of in a commanding position. I have Tyranno Infinity. I have another Tyranno Infinity possibly coming. And he can't activate Bryonic. That being said, he has Icarus attack. So he can just Icarus pop the macro. Then he can use the Bryonic. So battle phase, attack Bryonic. He's going to deprison. Main phase 2, I'm going to normal Cyber Valley. He's going to Icarus the 2 back row. And then he's just going to be able to Bryonic bounce and attack for game. So he shows the Eradicator now, showing that he could have done it earlier, but chose not to. And I think if he had done it earlier, I'm not sure. Like, we obviously would have lost, right? But I could have played things differently. I would have attacked Bryonic. No, I just would have lost. Yeah, I would have lost for sure. So, yeah, we would have lost this game no matter what, but he played it out a little bit longer to see if we could come back. And I think we might have been able to if he decided not to use the Eradicator, if we had just smashed and ground the stupid fucking Armor Master a turn before and not let him get in so much damage, basically. Anyway, we lose this one, so. He does offer, I asked, why didn't you Erad? And he says, just wanted to see what you had. So, yeah, that's kind of confirming my suspicions. He offers a rematch. And I was like, there was a lot I could have done with that hand because I could have Gilosaurus to draw 2, and there was a bunch of stuff I could have drawn into that could have changed the nature of that game. I think Lightning Vortex or Smashing Ground or whatever the fuck else. I'm not really even sure. Mirror Force, something to that degree. Who knows? Who fucking knows? I don't fucking know. But this game, we start off with a pretty strong hand. I don't know why there's this like special summon thing in the middle of the board, but weird. We go second. He's got Black Whirlwind, so pretty tough. He's going to Shura, search Bora. But if we find D-Fissure, Shura and Bora are just mulligans into Sabersaurus, so who cares? Find Cyber Valley. Just going to special Eotos, attack the Shura, and he's got Clute. So I'm like, okay, that's tough. Brings out Vayu, normal summon Cyber Valley, pass the turn. He's going to normal summon Blizzard, bring back Clute, synchro into Bryonic, once again bouncing the Cyber Valley. However, I think this doesn't leave him in such a great position here. Can't really synchro into anything that matters with the Vayu. He can make an Armor Master with his Bryonic, but I'm not sure if you really want to do that. If I was him, I would, because, you know, you get Armor Master in play and then Vayu in the grave. That's like great follow-up, but, you know, maybe you want to leave it in play for your Icarus attack or whatever, you know. Attacks for 23. We draw Brain Control, and I don't know. Brain Control's a busted card, so we're able to Brain Control, take Bryonic. I'm going to use his ability, pitch Superfluous Cyber Valley to try and bounce this back row, because I'm going to bounce one back row, I believe, here with this hand, and then try to force the other one by attacking. I'm going to attack the Vayu, normal summon the Cyber Valley, target the Bryonic, banish both. He doesn't Icarus there, which is really interesting. Value's keeping his Icarus Colute, which I think is pretty smart on his part to be a little bit patient there, because if he just fires that, and then we have like one good card, like his hand could easily fall apart. So, and we had 3 cards left to work with, so keeping the Icarus with the Clute is actually pretty good for him here. But that being said, like, considering what's happened in this game, we're like still very in it. go ahead and activate Soul Release, banish all his monsters and 2 of mine. I leave the Blizzard because it really has nothing that it can do in the graveyard with no other graveyard. Sure, he could maybe Dark Eruption for it, but there's no other card in the grave, so it doesn't fucking matter. I'm just going to set 3 at this point and just pass. He doesn't end phase Icarus, so I figured he might have end phase Icarus us, but I just decided not to for whatever reason. He attacks for 14. I just decided to take it. He sets 2 more back row, Solemn and Reckless. We're going to draw our own Solemn. I'm going to go for Common Charity. Draw 2, banish the Sabersaurus. Set, and pass. He still doesn't end phase Icarus. I go for Mirror Force, he goes for Icarus, I go for Starlight Road, he goes for Solemn, and I go for Solemn back. So 3 for 3, but we have the initiative despite having lost the life point total. So, and we do have a Stardust Dragon in play, which is the threat that is necessary to play this game. He goes for Reckless Greed, and he finds Shura as well as Dark-Armed Dragon. So pretty strong here. He could summon the Shura, which he's going to do, and search for Kalut. One thing he could have searched for was Gale, but that would put him to 4 darks, so I'm not really sure if he wanted to do that. He just searches for Kalut, and I think that this is a fine thing to search for, but I don't know. Maybe it's a little weak. Like, what if I draw D-Fissure this turn? Activate D-Fissure, forces the Icarus attack, and then we just don't negate with Stardust. Unless he targets the Stardust, of course, in which case, yeah. Sets 2 back row. I'm going to flip the Legacy of Yatagrasu, and I'm going to find Macrocosmos, which is pretty good at combating the Kalut. So I can just normal summon Cyber Valley, set the Macrocosmos. He's going to go for Reckless Greed, draw 2, and he is going to skip his draw phase. On his turn, he sets Starlight, sets Legacy of Yatagrasu, attacks. I'm going to use Macrocosmos. He's going to try to chain the Icarus, and I'm going to chain... he's going to try to chain the Icarus, and I'm going to chain Stardust Dragon. I think Stardust should be in grave as well. Yeah, Chainlink 1 macro, Chainlink 2 Icarus attack, Chainlink 3 Stardust. It should be in grave. Yeah, the Stardust should be in grave here. I don't think it ends up mattering this game, but I think it should be in grave. I just special Helosaurus. He's going to special summon back Shura. I'm going to use Cyber Valley to target the Gilosaurus. Draw 2 new cards. Special another Gilosaurus, see if he wants to bring something back. He's got Kalut. I'm going to normal summon Tyranno Infinity, who is now 2,000. It's not very strong, but it's going to be 3,000 if I crash the Gilosaurus. I'm not sure if I do, though. I think I just leave it at 2,000. Yeah. Attack over the Shura. Attack over the Kalut. But yeah, this Stardust should definitely be in my grave. That's like a pretty serious misplay here, because it could change whether or not I summon Iados off the top or not. Activate D-Fissure and pass. He goes ahead and normals Kalut, searches for Gale. Gale can have the Gilosaurus, and he is going to win game 1. So, yeah, down a match, down a game, pretty tough, but our opener of this hand's not bad. We have Grand Maju, we have Space Typhoon, so Black Whirlwind's not going to be too bad. And we're going to go ahead and Fossil Dig, find Sabersaurus, set, pass. He goes Heavy Storm, we go Chain Common Charity. Probably should have held the Typhoon here. Pretty big mistake on my part. Banish Frost first, banish Sabersaurus second, and now we have a 2,000 Tyranno Infinity, but yeah, we have no defense, and he's able to just rush us a little bit. We really need to find D-Fissure or Macrocosmos, and we're 11 cards into our deck, and we haven't found one of those. Or Soul Release. I would happily take a Soul Release as well. So, draw for turn is Dust Tornado. 12 cards into the deck. We have not drawn Soul Release or D-Fissure Macro. I wonder what the odds are of that. Let us see. So if we've drawn, if we're running 8 copies of a card and we've drawn 12, what are our odds of having greater than or equal to 1? 95.9%. So in 96% of hands, by this point, I will have drawn a Macro, a Soul Release, or a D-Fissure. It's kind of crazy, right? It's kind of crazy to have multiples of these every match, where it's just like 1% to 5% situations that happen like I just feel like they happen to me all the fucking time. Anyway, just normal Sabersaurus, fucking hope this shit goes through, and it just does, thank God. Set double bottomless, he flips Legacy, set, and phase, I'm just gonna blind dust, hope to hit some fucking Icarus attack shit. And then I finally do find Macrocosmos, 14 cards into my deck, so yeah. Close to not being able to do it. I don't know if this attack is correct. He would have had to have drawn Kalut for turn. But he did also flip the Legacy. He's going to go ahead and hit both back row, which is terrifying, but At least I am going to be able to stick the Macrocosmos here, pass the turn, he's going to normal Sirocco attack, and then we are going to be able to flip Macro and take 100. And now we have 3 Dinosaurs banished, and this card is about to go fucking crazy. I draw Gillosaurus, just going to normal this guy, attack over the Sirocco, keep it simple, that's only 2 darks, engrave, pass the turn, he sets another Sirocco, draw another Gillosaurus, I'm just going to normal it, attack the set, hit for 3k. Once this card gets to 3k plus, it's actually super fucking good. Like, it's just an insane card. Normal summon 3000 monster is, I don't care what format you're playing, it's pretty good. He's going to go ahead and run it over the Gillosaurus. He's going to try to declare, and I'm like, nope, it has to hit the grave. And he concedes, because he cannot make a Catastrophe there. So, yeah, get cooked by a 4000 Tyranno Infinity. This game, we open up Dust Tornado Common Charity, so decent. We have a draw card plus the draw target. Can't really complain. He's going to draw, set a back row. I'm going to draw Tyranno Infinity, set Dust Tornado, set Common Charity, pass. Once again, don't really want one of these guys to hit the grave. He summons the Vayu. He attacks for 800. I'm just going to take 800. End phase, I'm going to dust his new one. Turns out it was Typhoon. So, yeah, I was hoping to hit a fresh set Icarus there, but turns out the first set was Icarus. Draw for turn is Typhoon. I go ahead and Common Charity. I could have Typhooned his back row now, tried to force the Icarus attack, but yeah, I don't know if that was correct. I just draw 2, banish the Frost, go ahead and set Typhoon, and pass the turn. He's going to Allure, draw 2, banish Dad, normal summon Bora. I actually like his decision to banish Dad because our deck does play Macro and shit. Attacks for 800, attacks for 17. New set card, and face Typhoon, hit the new one. It's a legacy. Draw for turn is Mirror Force. Great draw. Means I no longer have to think. He's going to attack. I'm going to flip Mirror Force and just take my 2 for 1. He's going to set a new back row, and pass. We draw into Raikou, and holy hell, would you believe it? We are once again 11 cards into our deck with no Soul Release, no Defissure, no Macro, another 95%er in back-to-back fucking games. What are the chances? We know the chances. They're highly unlikely. How does this keep happening to me? And let me tell you, this is the story for the rest of ever. The rest of ever with this deck. After this match, this is the best luck I get. This match is the best luck I get with this deck. It only gets worse. It only gets worse. I entered 2 tournaments with this deck. I played so many more matches with this deck. For some reason, I am the unluckiest man alive with this deck. I do believe in this deck. I do think this deck is good. I do think it has potential. I still cannot draw well for shit with it, and I don't know why. Statistically speaking, I should be drawing well with this deck, but I'm just not. I special summon Iados. I attack for 2500. I'm like, okay, I just have to set this Raikou. Otherwise, like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm eventually just going to fucking, like, die. You know what I mean? Because I'm at 47. He summons Shura. He attacks the Iados. He uses Kalut. Okay, do your thing. Get your Gale. Gale attacks the set monster. And here, with Raikou, I'm like, I have to blow up one of his cards. I think I'm just going to blow up the monster. Just keep him off Icarus. Keep him off threats. Keep my life total high. Mill 3. I mill Starlight Road. So you see, the next turn, I would not have even drawn one. It would have been another 12 cards deep, no copies found of Soul Release Macro or fucking Dimensional Fissure. So, fucking insane luck, man. Just, and not in a good way. Like, just hitting 2 4%ers in a row is like, what is going on? Still, only 1 copy in the top 15. Really ridiculous odds, but we've got normal summon Gillosaurus, gets in under Bottomless, runs over Gale, makes Icarus attack awkward, makes all of these cards back here awkward. He's no longer able to make Blackwing Armor Master. I thought he might be able to might be trying to set up a virus. That's why I decided to pop the Shura so he couldn't make Armor Master. Yeah, just run it over. He doesn't have another Kalut. Pass the turn back. He's got Sirocco to run over Gillosaurus. I'm like, okay, fine. Top deck is Soul Release, and I'm like, thank fucking God. So we finally do get a bit of luck, and it does happen in this match. Granted, 16 cards deep. You're not always going to be able to survive that long. And this play, I really do like this play. Normal summon, or no, I go Smashing Ground, he goes Chain Deck Devastation Virus. Okay, that's going to hit my Tyranno Infinity out of my hand. For some fucking reason, question mark is 0 in the hand. I don't know why. Edison format rules are stupid. Yu-Gi-Oh rulings are stupid. It just doesn't make any fucking sense. If it's 0 in my hand, Why is it not 0 on my deck? Why can I not search this card with Sangan? Why can I not search this card with Giant Rat? Tell me why. Make it make fucking sense. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Shit is so annoying. I'm already getting mad knowing the rest of the matches I'm going to have to cover on this video. It's so frustrating. Main phase 2, this is the play I really like. I Fossil Dig, find another Tyranno Infinity. This is a cool play, and this will come up a lot while you're playing this deck, because you want to play around bottomless. Normal summon Tyranno Infinity while you have 1 banished. It's 1,000. Activate Soul Release. Banish all your monsters. Now he is 3,000, and you got him in under bottomless. Cool. Cool little play. Cool little play. Very cool. I think the interactions between Soul Release, Tyranno Infinity, and Gren Maju are one of my favorite reasons to play this deck. It's super, super fun. And in the updated version of this deck, I am playing the full 3 copies of Soul Release, because as you can see, 8 copies is just not enough. Even when you brick on multiple copies of them, you just need to play the full 9. It's just the way it is. He ends up going for a Sep card, Heavy Storm, wrote his own Heavy to bring out a Stardust in defense to not die. We're under deck dev, we reveal Macrocosmos off the top. I'm going to add that to my hand. His new set card is Reckless Greed. I'm going to normal summon Sabersaurus, just attack, put him down to 5 so that Brain Control is now dead. Set the Macrocosmos, pass. He Recklesses, I'm going to Macro on Resolution, and he's going to say GG's. So, yeah, Tyranno Infinity clutching up multiple matches against Blackwings, and at this point, like, I had been doing testing with like previous iterations of this deck. I played versions with Caius. I played versions with like DD Survivor. All of those cards are bad. All of those cards are terrible. And I'm going to get into it. I'm just going to get into it with you guys. So like the reason you don't want to play Caius or DD Survivor is because, first off, while Caius does kind of work with Gillosaurus, it kind of only works with Gillosaurus. You don't really want to sack anything else. DD Survivor doesn't stay banished, so it doesn't pump up Gren Maju. It doesn't really do anything to benefit your game plan. It's just another card that only works with Defissure or Macro. You want less of that. You definitely want less of that. So yeah, those cards were bad. I tried fucking everything with this deck. I tried so much. So far, up until the point in this video or these matches, this was the build that I had the most success with, which was this with all the draw cards, the triple Upstart, triple Cyber Valley, triple whatever. You get the idea. But I do think that after testing this even further, I would move more towards something like this. I talked about it a little bit in the deck profile, but I would definitely play triple Soul Release. I think this card is just MVP. I would play multiple Gren Maju because this card is honestly insane. Could honestly try to fit a third. I think 2 is plenty, though. You don't really want to draw them super early. Drawing this card early is really bad. It's just 400 vanilla early. I would play double Lightning Vortex because you saw just how important, how crucial Mirror Force and having that sweeper under Defissure and Macro was. That having an additional 2 is super important, especially against decks like Frogs, especially against decks like Blackwings or Glads, or decks that are going to give you a hard time, like, and just put up a big board. Just being able to go Defissure, Lightning Vortex, banish a Dinosaur, banish their guys, and then summon a 2,000 Tyranno Infinity, that's, like, pretty crucial. I think that's pretty crucial. And then I would go down on Common Charity. I found myself citing the third one out a lot. I would go down on the Legacies and Jars entirely. They're just a little slow. I go down to 2 Upstart. I felt myself having difficulty dealing 10,000 damage. 9,000 isn't too hard because if you have like Guardian Eatos plus a 2,000 Tyranno Infinity, that's going to be 9,000 damage over 2 turns. And that's a clock that I think comes up very frequently. So that, or like Guardian Eatos plus Sabersaurus is 4,400, and then any additional monster, even if it's just a 400 Gren Maju, will win you the game the next turn. So dealing 9,000 is not too bad, but dealing 10,000 is just very difficult. That extra 1,000 points of damage makes a big difference in the aggro mirror. So I would go down to 2 Upstarts, and I would make space for double Lightning Vortex. And then the last card I would add to the main is Heavy Storm. I think Heavy Storm is actually really good in this deck because if you just activate a Defissure, your opponent's going to set 5. Like, they're not going to think about Heavy Storm. They're going to commit usually every back row that they possibly can. And then if you don't have Defissure, you can't really play in a back row that effectively without Starlight Road or Solemn set initially, or without, your other shit set initially. So I think just having Heavy Storm for that late game Tyranno turn, or having it for that huge blowout moment where your opponent has set all their back row, and then you fire off a Common Charity, and then you just have a lone Defissure, and you have extra Defissures in your hand, you just fire the Heavy Storm, you get like a 4 for 2 or something like that. That scenario comes up so much that I think just having this in the deck is pretty crucial. And then for the sideboard, the things I would change is I would move the bottomless and make them deep prisons. I found that bottomless was really only good going first. Going second, I really wish I had deep prisons because they would just establish a monster, and if they have back row to back their monster up, then getting rid of that monster oftentimes became very difficult. And then I would try out pulling the rugs. I'm not really sold on them. Might move back to bottomless, but this is for like Caius shenanigans. Yeah, mostly for like Caius shit. But I'm not really sold on the pulling the rugs. This could be like Royal Oppression or something like that. Just something different. And then I wanted to try out one breaker in the side as a way to just like punish people for like bringing in dust tornadoes. And they're going first. They'll set the dust tornado. You draw your breaker. You summon the breaker. Pop the dust tornado. Then commit your defissure in your macro. So these are the changes I wanted to make to the deck. And like I said, I've tried a lot of different stuff, and I think that these changes are good. I have yet to play a match with it like this, but in my like in theory, this should be a good match. Not a good match, but a good configuration for this deck moving forward. Let's go ahead and get into the tournament matches. The tournament matches will also be with the old version of the deck, but yeah, you'll definitely see in the tournament matches the need for something like multiple vortexes in the main. All right, see you guys in tournament matches. Tournament gameplay. Oh my gosh. Whoever skipped to this portion of the video, just to reiterate something at the beginning of the video, RBET is this weekend, RBET Online. It's going to be a banger tournament. It's the last RBET before RBET Rulers, the end of the year invitational this season. So definitely join the Really Big Yu-Gi-Oh! Discord, find information for that. The signups will open Friday before the tournament. So yeah, make sure and join that. And you can also find the deck files for all of the decks that I play in every video, including the 2 deck files for the original version of this deck and the updated version of this deck in the Really Big Yu-Gi-Oh! Discord as well. So make sure you guys are joined up there. All right, so this is the first tournament I decided to take this deck to. And round 1, I'm paired up against a deck that I have literally never played against or read any of the cards of in my entire fucking life. So that's awesome. I have practiced this deck against Blackwings. I have practiced this deck against Frogs. I have practiced this deck against Vayu Turbo. But I have not practiced this deck against fucking Crystal Beasts. So that's what we're playing in round 1 of this tournament. Spoiler alert, Dimensional Fissure doesn't really do all that much to Crystal Beasts. So yeah, not really a great matchup for us, especially if he's able to put up a powerful monster that can't be destroyed. So yeah, we're up against Dat Boy. You guys already know. You guys know who we're playing against. You guys know who we're playing against. We're just going to skip the fucking shuffling bullshit. All right, so turn 1, I go second, obviously. Lose the dice roll. Upstart Goblin. So 0-1 on dice rolls in tournament. Upstart Goblin. Draw into something. I'm not even sure. I've got a Defissure in my hand. I normal Sabersaurus. Activate Defissure afterward. Attack the set monster. Then he Mirror Forces, and my Sabersaurus is banished. So +1 banish, so that's going to be 1,000 to my Tyranno Infinities the later the game goes. You can see in my hand, I've got another Defissure, I think. Looks like in his hand, he's got an X-Saber Airbellum. So yeah, he's going to flip his guy and equip a card to his guy that makes it 2,000 attack points. And I'm just sitting here like, what the fuck is this? I was like, I have to read all these cards. By the way, this first tournament was played, I believe, 2 weeks ago, a couple weeks ago. I went to this tournament immediately after a funeral. So I'm just like sitting here like, do I really got to read these fucking cards? I make some pretty terrible plays in this game. But all Johns aside, you know, you got to own your misplays. We're posting them today, clearly. Airbellum's going to attack, and it's going to rip a card from my hand. And it's going to rip a second copy of Defissure. So pretty happy it ripped that instead of something that actually does something. But, you know, still annoying to take 3,600 damage here, and he's going to set, and he has a Call of the Haunted in his hand, but that's just not going to fucking do anything this game because I have Defissure in play. So, yeah, I draw for turn. I don't really know what I found. Looks like a spell card at least in my hand. I reread that shit again. It's basically just +800 to a Crystal Beast, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I think it's just +800, and then, like, when it dies, something happens. I normal summon Gildosaurus or special summon it. I don't fucking remember. And he says that is chill. Oh, it's Brain Control. That's what's in my hand. So I Brain Control his Airbellum, and I'm like, we are big chilling here. Brain Control the Airbellum. I still have a normal summon here, which is kind of nice. So I believe I'm going to... Oh, I special summon Guardian Eatos as well. So Guardian Eatos can run over his Crystal Beast, Amethyst, whatever the fuck it's called. He's going to go ahead and Crystal card into another Crystal card. I'm going to go for 1,600 and try to hand rip him. He's got 2 cards left in hand. Hopefully I hit something good. I hit some Crystal Beast card, and I'm just like, all right, I ain't reading that shit. I literally just don't read it. Huge mistake. Should have read it. We attack for 1400, and this is exactly the instance where Brain Control and the 6-star Synchros make a big difference. I should probably Synchro here into Goyo Guardian, and I do. So there's that. I make Goyo Guardian because he is strong, and if he has another one of those equip spells, even if he has a Crystal Pegasus, it's only going to be 2600, and it won't be able to get over the Goyo Guardian. Now we do have 2 Dinosaurs banished as well, which is very nice. My hand is just Frostosaurus at this point. He's got Call of the Haunted, he's got Big Tiger Guy, so he's going to go ahead and set Tiger Guy and pass a turn. We draw for turn, and I don't know what the fuck it is, but I'm just going to attack. It's going to be Tiger Guy. I'm going to hit for 28. He's at 27. Now, we have upstarted once this game, so he should be at 17. We'll see if it ends up mattering. You know, like, theoretically, if we had not used the upstart. He goes ahead and Typhoons our Mirror Force, which sucks because that card would have been crucial for us to be able to actually play the game. He's going to set another monster, set a background pass. We're going to draw for turn, attack with the Iados, and then attack directly for game. So, game 1, none of this shit mattered. The D-Fissure didn't do any work, but we can't really afford to side out the D-Fissure because it's such a crucial part to keeping our guys banished. If I was playing triple Soul Release, maybe I could have sided out 1 D-Fissure, but I could tell from this game that D-Fissure wasn't going to do anything besides maybe shut off Rescue Cat. So that's at least what I recognize there. That being said, in my side deck, I've got 2 Dust Tornadoes, I've got a Space Typhoon, and then I don't even really know what the fuck else I'm going to bring in here. So, yeah, we do side deck, and, yeah, kind of interesting. Kind of really fucking interesting. I do not know. Anyway, he goes first. He does have Typhoon himself, and he does have the Crystal Pegasus, which is, I think, their best normal summon. It's 1800 attack, which is pretty strong, and then it places 1 from deck, and then he sets a back row and just activates it, which is going to be the equip spell. So now he has a 2600 monster in play, and dude, my deck cannot beat that. Like, on God, straight up. I draw for turn, and I'm just like, holy shit, what is in my hand? Why can I not beat this card? I just set back row. I believe I set Mirror Force and pass a turn. He just Typhoons the back row. Oh, it's not Mirror Force, it's Legacy. Interesting. So I get my +1, but things don't look good. He's got Monk. He's got Airbellum in hand. He could go Monk Cat if he wants to. And he's just going to go Airbellum. Hit for 1600. Hopefully not hit a monster. And he does. And I'm just like, oh my god. If I draw Guardian Iados, it's now dead. I think I have Guardian Iados in my hand. But it wasn't going to do anything. Oh no, I might not have it in my hand. I can't really tell. I have a Tyranno Infinity. I have another Sabersaurus. I have a Common Charity. I'm not sure what else I have in my hand, but yeah, it's rough. I go for Fossil Dig. I find Frostosaurus. That's going to work with my Common Charity. But we're in a really bad spot here. I mean, we took 4,200. We really can't afford to get attacked again this turn. I summon Sabersaurus. I run over the Airbellum. So I'm trying to, like, minimize damage potential output here. I set a back row, which is the Common Charity. He's got Brain Control, so he can just do that if he wants to. He's going to summon Monk. He's going to activate. Special summon the Rescue Cat. And he's going to be able to make Bionic and just game shot me. So, yeah, I just fucking lose. So, yeah. Very unfortunate. Didn't open up with Macrocosmos or Dimensional Fissure or Soul Release. So, yeah, once again, pretty far into the deck. We had resolved, I believe, was it a Legacy? Maybe not that far into the deck. We resolved a Legacy. Yeah, just a Legacy. So we were like 8-9 cards into the deck, but we just didn't see our power cards there. So pretty unfortunate game. Just kind of got ran over. Couldn't deal with the 2600 monster off the bat. And we're going to go into game 3 here shortly. I'm going to go ahead and start things off with the Fossil Dig. Fossil Dig is going to get us a Sabersaurus, I believe. Yeah, normal that. I think in this game I just brick on a bunch of copies of D-Fissure Macro, and I don't play well. I definitely misplay and cost myself this game. I set 4 back row and pass the turn. He goes for, I don't remember what he goes for here. He has a Raikou in hand. I can't really tell what else he has. He sets a Raikou, sets a background passes, and I end-phase Typhoon, and it's this stupid fucking card, and it gets to put a Crystal Beast in his thing. And I've read this card twice at this point. I'm not reading it again. I'm just kind of like, whatever. All right, you got me. You baited me. Just kidding. I need to read this again. Wow, that's fucking annoying. I'm really annoyed here that I Space Typhooned a card that I didn't need to Space Typhoon, and it got no value, but I'm also kind of happy that he doesn't get that plus 800 boost because it was very difficult for us to deal with last game. So, yeah. That being said, I just go ahead and I think activate Defissure. I have a set macro, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I flipped the macro as well, attack the set monster. And so even if this is a Raikou, he will have to like banish his shit. Or his card will get banished to some degree. So Raikou's going to activate here, and he's going to try to pop the Sabersaurus, mills 3 cards to the banish zone, and Raikou will also go to the banish zone. So 1 dinosaur in the banish zone, pass the turn back. He's got Solemn Judgment in hand, so that's a little scary. He sets a monster, sets a Solemn, passes a turn back. We draw for turn. We're going to normal summon a second Sabersaurus, attack the set monster. It's going to go to the Spell and Trap zone instead of the graveyard. So, yeah, Macrocosmos Defissure not really doing anything against these cards. I think he has a card in hand that doesn't work under Macrocosmos, but we'll get to that later. I don't know what that card is called, but it sends a Crystal Beast and it draws 2 cards. But it has to send it to the graveyard. So here he's going to go for the, I believe, Crystal something to summon the Crystal Guy, the fucking tiger that can attack over my character. I don't really know. Yeah, he goes for the Crystal thing to bring out the tiger. I tried a bottomless here, when in reality I probably shouldn't have done this. Probably should have just held the bottomless for specifically Airbellum or something like that. But, you know, that's just going to work. And his guy's going to go to the Spell and Trap zone. So, or is it? He's looking at a Solemn Judgment. He's looking at a Solemn Judgment. And he's going to Solemn. And I'm just like, okay. You're down half your life points. You're at 4,000. Potentially, I can do something. He's going to use his crystal card, special his crystal card. It's going to special his other crystal card. And I'm just like, all right. Shit. Fuck me, right? Hopefully I don't die from 8,000 here. He's going to place another crystal guy from his deck. And yeah. He's going to try to activate Brain Control. And I'm just like, dude. I have to Solemn this. I have to Solemn this because he hasn't normal summoned, so he could still normal summon a tuner and just OTK me. He attacks over the Sabersaurus. He attacks me directly. I drop to 21. He sets his back row. We draw for turn. It's not looking good. It's not looking good, boys. It's not looking good. I have Fossil Dig. I am forced to Fossil Dig for Tyranno Infinity. I am forced to try and clear his Topaz Tiger because it can crash with our Tyranno Infinity. Even though his back row could very well stop us and this game could just end right here. And this works. So thankfully he's going to take 400 and we are stable in quotation marks on a 2000 Tyranno Infinity. He draws, he sets another back row, passes a turn back. I draw. What did I find? Just attack the Crystal Pegasus. He top decked fucking D-Prison. I'm just like, okay, no, that's cool. You can top deck D-Prison in your D-Prison deck. Here, I realize I'm dead on board. I'm going to die if he just switches these to attack and attacks. I have to blind Common Charity. I blind Common Charity. And guess what? I fucking hit. Which is crazy. I normal summon Cyber Valley, and I'm like, okay, I have one more turn. I have 2 more draws here. If he can't clear the Cyber Valley, I'll get the draw off the Cyber Valley, and I will get the draw for turn to potentially stabilize. He finds Rare Value off the top. I think it's Rare Value is the card he can't use under Macrocosmos. He's going to switch his monster to attack. He's going to attack. We're going to activate, draw a new card. I can't really see what it is. I have a Defissure in my hand. I have an unknown card in my hand. I draw a 3rd card here. It's Upstart Goblin. So I have another redraw. And I redraw. And what did I find? But looks like Smashing Ground. Guardian Eatos. I'm going to special summon Guardian Eatos. Attack over the Crystal Guy. Deal a certain amount of damage. And I think I just pass. I think I just fucking pass. I think I set both my cards. And yeah, I just pass. Here we draw into Nether Upstart Goblin. So he's up to 41. He's gained 2,000 life points this game from Upstart Goblins. But that being said, I was able to dig to the card I needed, Guardian Eatos, to stabilize. So potentially it's worth it. Very, very intense game between vanilla dinosaurs and crystal beasts. the quality content you like to see. We run over the Ruby Carbuncle, whatever the fuck that card is called, and he allows it to get banished because he needs to keep his back row open. I think that's a good play from him. Normal summon Cyber Valley and pass a turn. I elect not to use the draw 2 effect, and I elect not to use... Yeah, that's the only effect I could use there. He checks his banish, he checks his grave, he asks his life total, blah, 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 blah. All this, I think he just passes. We draw for turn. Did we find a lethal threat? Possibly? No. He's at 16. So the upstarts kept us in the game, right? Because we ripped it at that moment. But Lightning Vortex would have been just the same as that upstart. And it also wouldn't have kept him in the game as well, because now he's at 1600, which is life points he never would have had if we had never activated Upstart Goblin. So we're kind of working in like this alternate future, thanks to Upstart Goblin, of like a game that neither of us should be in. But I think cutting it down to 2 will minimize the amount of life points I'm giving the opponent. I do think it's necessary in some capacity just to be able to find Defissure and Macro turn 1, but I think when you're playing the 3 Soul Release, 3 Defissure, 3 Macro, you can get away with just 2 upstarts instead of the full 3. He goes for Typhoon on Macrocosmos. And I can tell you right now, the card in my hand is another Macrocosmos. And this is the misplay that cost me this game. He's obviously had cards stuck for the entire game, right? I don't know what the fuck those cards could be. I don't know what they are. I don't know anything about rare value. I don't know anything about a Crystal Beast draw spell. Why would I know that? Why would I fucking know what a tier 6 deck does? You know what I mean? Why would I know that? You know what I mean? Why do I know what these fucking cards do? And now, because I didn't set the Macrocosmos that was in my hand, I am no longer able to chain it to him Typhooning my other Macrocosmos, and he's able to use double rare value, which is going to be able to draw him like fucking 4 cards or some shit like that, and just like dig him back into the game, which is like insanely frustrating. Like an insanely frustrating mistake on my part. All I had to do was just set the fucking Macrocosmos in my hand and chain it to his Typhoon on my Macrocosmos, and I would have won the game. Like straight up, just this turn, I would have won it. Alas, I have to punt at every given moment. I have to throw. It's like I'm throwing for content at this point. Such a frustrating game. And like I said, I'm exhausted at this point. This match has been going on for 30 fucking minutes. I'm up against all these cards. I don't even know what the fuck they do. I'm just sitting here like, bro, what am I doing here? I'm playing fucking Macro Dinosaurs. You see this moment where I'm just like, I'm looking at my, look at this. I'm looking at my phone. I'm looking up a ruling. He wants us to look up the ruling to see if we can rare value and send the cards. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure you can, because I'm pretty sure they're treated as spell cards. And they're going to get sent to the graveyard. But let's look up this ruling. And you can see I'm like hesitating looking up this ruling, because I'm just done. I'm just fucking done. I'm just so over it at this point. I'm just like, man, I've been playing this dinosaur deck online for like fucking 3 weeks now. Well, at this point, it's only been 2 weeks. I've been trying to get it right. I played a bunch of versions. I've lost a million games. And it's so frustrating that I'm sitting here. I've paid money to play in this tournament. I'm playing against a deck that I'm never going to play against in a real event, even though this is a real event. It's so frustrating. I was just sitting here like, why couldn't I have gone paired against Black Wings or Frogs or something like that? Oh my gosh. I was just like, all right. He's able to rare value again, draw 2 new cards. He draws into a deep prison. You already see where this one's going. It's just going to fall apart. It falls apart real quick. Yeah, it's tough. He activates this card that blows up my whole board. Special summons all his guys back. I'm just looking at the Macrocosmos in my hand, like, why didn't I set this? What an insanely frustrating experience. Yeah, but you gotta hold it, you gotta hold the L. Definitely misplayed this one. Definitely cost me the game. Probably an awkward matchup, just because of the way the stats line up with the Eclipse Fall and the Crystal Pegasus, and with the lack of removal in Game 1 in this current build that I'm playing. And then also just awkward because our key Floodgate does fuck all in this deck. We have to have specifically Macrocosmos. And I just didn't know that Macrocosmos actually did something, so I just didn't set the second one, because I had Defissure plus Macro up, and I'm like, he needs 2 outs just to play through it with Cat or whatever, so. yeah, starting off the tournament 0-1, moving on to the next one. The next game is up against, I believe his name is Tom. Nice guy. He's playing Spirit Creature Swap deck with Archlord Christia. So, as you guys know, my deck is like put a big monster into play deck. And what's really good against that? Well, Battle Fader into Creature Swap. So, you can already tell how this tournament's going. I was just fucking like, alright. Everyone had to cook this week. Everyone had to cook. Charge for Ryko. We lose the die roll. 0-2 on die rolls. Lovely experience. Losing a die roll. Love it. For your boy. Love it. And the worst part is, like, I know this deck, like, has potential. I know the Dino deck has potential. We just pass because, you know. He summons a Sur Priest, pokes us for 17, and I'm just like, oh my god. I do not want to deal with this. I have Macrocosmos now. I'm not sure what else is in my hand. I'm just flicking through it. At this point, I've given up. After the loss to Crystal Beasts, I've checked out. I just said 3 back row and pass. One of them's a legacy. I don't know. I think. I could be wrong. But I've just checked out this game. And you can tell he is taking his fucking time to think. That's 4 minutes on T-set, attack with the Sur Priest, etc. I flip Jar of Greed. Okay, not Legacy, Jar of Greed. My bad. My B. So we flip Jar, draw a new card, and I'm just like, I know he charged for Ryko. Normal summon Sabersaurus. Okay, I've got a Soul Release in my hand. Set a back row. Attack the set that I think is Ryko. On declaration, activate Macrocosmos. What are you going to do? He's going to flip his Ryko. What is Ryko going to pop? What is it going to hit? It's going to hit the Macrocosmos. He's going to mill his 4 cards. And I'm sitting here like, I have to wait for my Sabersaurus to die, but then I can Soul Release everything. And hopefully he doesn't get to 4 fairies this turn for Christia. So, yeah, we're just on the fucking prey plan here. More or less. Flips the second Ryko. Targets the Sabersaurus. I check my back row. I'm like, I'm just going to solemn this. Fuck this. I'm going to solemn a Ryko. I need my Sabersaurus around. I need that boy to attack directly. I know he has a Sur Priest in hand. I know he could summon that, but he doesn't. So I'm like, okay, good. Cool. No Sur Priest on us. No crazy shit happening. Attack for 19. He has Mirror Force. I'm going to flip Road. And this is why I needed to solemn the Ryko, because I needed to play into a possible Mirror Force by summoning the Cyber Valley, blah, 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 blah. Classic shit. Hit for 25. He drops 36. So 2 turn clock. 19 plus 25. Draw 2 new cards. We draw into another Cyber Valley. And what looks like, I don't know, Tyrannos, some shit. I banish his 2 cards. I banish 3 of my own cards. That's going to put me at 5 cards banished for Grand Maju. I might have a Grand Maju in my hand. That's probably why I did that. Pass the turn back. I'm just dead here to brain control or any sort of real card. He's going to flip a Legacy of Yatagrasu. So, yeah, you can see his game plan is creature swap me in a Sur Priest, flip Legacy, draw 2 cards. It's pretty cool, pretty strong. Sets monster, sets back row, passes. Ironically, I'm playing against the one matchup where Jar of Greed is worse than Legacy of Yatagrasu, and I've drawn the one fucking Jar of Greed. I haven't drawn the Legacy of Yatagrasu. What are the fucking chances of this? What are the fucking chances? I attack, main deck fucking Fossil Dyna, and I'm like, that's cool. Normal Cyber Valley, set back row, pass the turn. Draw for turn. Set monster. Pass back to us. Draw for turn. We have Tyranno Infinity in hand. Activate Defissure. Switch Cyber Valley to defense. Pass the turn back. He draws for turn. What does he got here? We know he has Asura Priest. Play the Asura Priest. Do something. Do something. He has to see the graveyard. He says, oh, there's only 3 cards in the graveyard. Big think moment. Big think moment. He's got a lot of options. Clearly. Big think moment. Big think moment. Oh my gosh. The 2x speed. We need 4x speed. Okay, normal summon this shit. I don't know what this card is called. I can't read it on the screen. But it's a spirit monster. Attacks. Cyber Valley effect to draw a card. Pass turn. All that thinking just for that. That's crazy. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and flip Legacy. I could have flipped that Legacy when he had a spirit monster in play. This is how you know I'm fried. I don't even remember the legacy second effect the one time it does come up. I'm just trash. I'm just trash. Upstart Goblin. Draw card. I'm just trash. I'm just ass. I'm playing Jar of Greed when my opponent is playing Spirit Monsters. What is wrong with me? Could have Pot of Greeded, man. Oh, fucking God, I'm so mad. Watching this game back, I was exhausted. I was so tired today. But the dude thought for like 6 minutes. I like stopped paying attention. That turn, literally, he thought for 4.5 minutes. It's like 12 minutes into the game now. Raikou pops the D-Fissure. Mills 3. The third Raikou is now gone. All 3 Raikou are gone. Main phase 2, I activate Soul Release. I ask what's in his graveyard. I banish Plague because I have to. I banish the Spirit because I have to. I banish my own Stardust because I have to. And then I banish Hamster and Fossil Dyna in case he has Pot of Avarice. I pass the turn back. He checks his back row bunch. Checks his back row bunch. Thinks longer. Thinks longer. This was, to be fair, a very difficult game. So like, even though he is thinking for a very long time, he has a lot of options, and I don't want to be like a dick about it. Like I think he genuinely did have a lot of options here. He's gonna flip Fiend Comedian, trying to mill more cards to set up Christia. So main deck Fiend Comedian, main deck Fossil Dyna. He flips heads, banishes my whole graveyard, and I'm just looking at my Grand Maju like, please, one time for the fans. Draw for turn is, I don't remember what I drew. Special Iados. Finally, I'm gonna start aggroing him out. He asks here if he can Herald of Orange Light. I say no, because it's just an inherent summon. He's like, okay, nothing I can do about that. Normal summon Gilosaurus. Attack. He activates Legacy of Yatagarasu. It's going to be an honest. I attack with the Guardian Iados, and I attack directly for 1,400. So, he's at 3,200 here. I just pass the turn. I believe I'm also at 3,200 here. So, we're both in, like, kind of a tense spot. He sets a back row, passes back. I declare an attack. He activates Battle Fader. Okay. There's a Battle Fader. I've got Brain Control, which I could use to sack his Battle Fader. And so I'm going to do that. I'm going to Brain Control and sacrifice for Frostosaurus. Switch the Gilosaurus to defense. I'm just trying to keep him off a potential Caius, shutting me out of the game. He checks his back row further. I don't know what he's playing at this point. I don't know what's in his deck. I've seen Fossil Dyna, Fiend Comedian in the main. I've seen Hamster. I've seen Creature Swap. I've seen Asura Priest and another Spirit Monster. So I don't know. I don't know what it is so far. I kind of have an idea, but like, I've seen Herald of Orange Light. Could be a lot of fairies. I'm not even really sure. I normal summon Gilosaurus. I attack, and that's going to be all for game 1. So, managed to find the lethal threats necessary to win game 1. I think his hand might have been just a bit too passive, and the Guardian Iados Rush was just too much. And I think the Soul Releases were really key in being able to control his graveyard, because I think later in the game, I realized he's playing the spirit that banishes another spirit to special summon itself. So, yeah, even though I played that game just horribly, just fucking terribly, so badly, we were able to come out on top through, like, the generic, like, Hamster Raikou Caius shit, minus the Caius, I guess. But just, like, Hamster Raikou shit, we're able to come out on top against that. And I think, in general, I think this deck does well against, like, Hamster Raikou shit, because, A, Sabersaurus runs over Hamster, and B, like, you kind of overtax the Raikou. It's like, oh, you either have to hit the D-Fissure, or you have to hit my Iados that's hitting your face. Pick one. And then it's like, oh, you hit the Iados, now your mill doesn't matter because we've got D-Fissure. And, on top of that, I got cards in the Banish Zone that's powering up my Grand Maju. So the deck is really good into Raikou, in that sense, but it depends on what else they have on top of the Raikou. Like, if it's just Raikous, like, for their removal suite, then, yeah, it's pretty easy to manage that. But if it's, like, Raikous with, like, a shitload of trap cards, then it's pretty difficult. And that's another reason why I liked moving more towards, like, Heavy Storm. And I do think the chainable traps are also really good into Raikous, too, because you can just, like, set them and infinitely bait the Raikous, that sort of thing. We're going to go ahead and move into the next game. So, I mind control a set monster because he went first. I activate D-Fissure. I flip Raikou, target itself. And here, he's going to chain Dust Tornado on D-Fissure. So this is actually going to fuck me up if I mill a monster. Thankfully for us, I don't, but it is still really annoying, to be honest, because now we don't have a D-Fissure in play. So yeah, Dust Tornado on the D-Fissure, kind of backbreaking there, but Mind Control on Raikou, about as good as it's going to get. It's going to normal Sir Priest, activate Creature Swap, and I've set my own Raikou, and I'm just sitting here like, oh my fucking god, get me out of this fucking game. Get me out of this fucking game. I did all that work to get rid of a Raikou, and now he just has another one for free from me, so. Set another monster, pass. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bait him to flip the Raikou and target my monster. I set Tyranno Infinity in my back row as Macrocosmos. So he's going to flip Raikou, target my set monster. I'm going to chain Macro, and there's nothing you can do about it. So it's going to banish Tyranno Infinity and mill 3. So best case scenario for me, the Raikou's now face up. We got a Dino banished. We didn't give him any mills, so kind of best case scenario, but we are still really soft here to like a potential Celestia. He summons a Sir Priest, he attacks for 19. A Sir Priest is really difficult for our deck to deal with because our only removal card that deals with it is Mirror Force. Normal summon Cyber Valley and pass a turn. My head is not great. I'll keep it real with you guys. I'll keep it real. It is not great. He goes ahead and just thinks for a million years. Attacks. Cyber Valley activates. Draws a new card. This is a tough match to watch because I lose. Spoiler alert. I don't even remember how I lost this one. I just remember being exhausted and playing terribly. There's the Mirror Force for the Asur Priest. And yeah, he's just up a million cards on us because of that creature swap play. I'm going to normal summon Sabersaurus here. See if that works. Attack the Raikou. He's got Threatening Roar, so being up a card here is nice. The Threatening Roar should be banished, but as you can tell, I'm kind of checked out. I'm just like exhausted. I'm exhausted commentating this game because it's moving so slowly. Legacy of Yggdrasil gets flipped. I remind him here that the Threatening Roar and the Legacy should be banished because of Macrocosmos. Yeah. Really slow one. Oh, man. I think, like, I like my opponent's deck, and I like my opponent. I just think that, like, if I was playing in a real tournament, my opponent was playing this slowly, I would have absolutely called him for slow play. I would have called the judge because he is just playing too slowly here. He normal summons the Herald of Orange Light, and I decide to Solemn Judgment the Herald of Orange Light. Had he double tributed for Christia, we would have Solemn that, so it's all the same. He attacks me for 19. I drop to 12. Things don't look good. He switches Raikou to attack. Clearly doesn't know how Honest works under Macrocosmos. I'm going to normal summon Sabersaurus. He's going to reveal an Honest. I'm like, yeah, you can't do that. You just got to take damage. And we're going to attack for 19, and that's going to work. So he's at 39. I'm at 12. He's going to go ahead here and just set monster, set back row pass. And that's got to be the set Honest, which we can't fucking get over. So attack. Turns out it's just Hamster, so it's not even Honest. It's Hamster, which is kind of even worse for us. I decided to just attack it, get it out of play. He's going to pop the Macro, mill 3 cards. Mills Dust Tornado, Space Typhoon, and a Spirit Monster. Main phase 2, I activate D-Fissure. Probably should have done that main phase 1, but I'm a dumbass. So yeah, played this game terribly. He brings out his Spirit Monster, and I don't know what the fuck this shit does, but apparently it blows up back row, so it's going to blow up the D-Fissure. And that's great. That's cool. Awesome. There goes my D-Fissure. He activates Legacy now. Attacks the Saber. We're going to take some damage. He's going to activate, pop the D-Fissure. Legacy should be in the grave because D-Fissure doesn't banish non-monsters. We draw Soul Release, which is... Oh, we had Soul Release, but... Yeah, I'm just going to set Soul Release to banish his cards. Fossil Dig. Go find Gillosaurus. I don't know what my goal was here. Special Gillosaurus? Normal Tyranno Infinity. Oh, this is game, but he has Battle Fader, so... Yeah, unfortunate for us, he just has Battle Fader. And here he looks at our monsters. I know he has Honest in hand, so I'm just dead on board. I had to go for game. Yeah, attack, Honest, and that's going to be the game. So, yeah, really frustrating game. I didn't know what the fucking Spirit Monster did. I should have activated the D-Fissure before attacking the set. But I thought it was Honest. I thought for sure it would be Honest. And it wasn't. It was just Hamster. Oh my gosh, man. It's just like, it had to be specifically Hamster into Raikou, and it had to specifically mill a Spirit Monster. And I had to specifically make that very specific play of not activating the Defeater first. It's just like, can I catch a break? Can a man catch a break? I'm just trying to put out some premium dinosaur content for you guys. You guys don't understand. Going multiple weeks, playing in the league at night and day games, multiple times, with dinosaurs, vanilla dinosaurs. This is the truest form of suffering. I want you guys to know I suffered so that you could have good content. I just want you guys to know. Because holy hell. This deck, I love this deck. I think it's really cool. And I think Artemis did a good job on the original core. I think that the concepts of the deck are cool. I think it has a lot of potential. But dear God, this match made me want to fucking scream. I think I dropped from... Well, yeah, I definitely dropped from the tournament after this match. I just set forward pass. I'm sick of thinking about it. He thinks here for a very long time. Thinks here for a very long time. Thinks here for a very long time. Set monster, set 2 back row, and pass turn. We draw for turn. What did we draw into? I'm not even sure. Who knows? It's a mystery. Activate Upstart Goblin. He gains 1,000. We draw a card. I activate Macrocosmos. Probably should have done that before drawing the card, but I understand why I didn't. Yados is going to attack. He's going to Space Typhoon the macro. So Raiko's going to flip in the damage step. We don't have another macro to use here. He's going to blow up the Cyber Valley. Mill 3. Future Yados are now dead. I set a new back row and pass the turn. He draws for turn. He normal summons a Asura Priest. I activate Torrential Tribute. He chains Legacy. I chain Macrocosmos. So the draw for turn was another copy of Macrocosmos. Asura Priest is banished. He sets a back row and passes. I draw for turn. It's Soul Release. I decide to use it. Banishing his spirit monsters to play around that other spirit monster. And banishing my Cyber Valley from the graveyard. Also kind of useful, just making sure he can't, like, I don't know, revive anything or hand rip my Soul Release. I don't fucking know. He attacks me for 17. Pops the non-macro back row. It's Common Charity. I contemplated chaining it there, but I didn't want to hit, like, my payoff cards. But I don't know. I maybe should have chained it there. I draw for turn. I find Guardian Yados. I special summon it. And I attack over the Lila. So, as of right now, I'm kind of in the game, but he's just up cards on me. Like, solidly. I think he has 5 cards or 4 cards, something like that. He goes for Dust Tornado. Target the other set. It's going to be Common Charity. I'm going to chain it this time. So, draw 2. And we didn't hit, so it's just going to be a mill 2. And then he's going to Heavy Storm there. So, yeah. Here comes normal summon Asura Priest. Creature swap. He gets the Yados. He hits me for 25. Yeah. I have to pass. He draws. Doesn't matter. Hits me for 42. Pass. I draw for turn. Set Sabersaurus. Pass. All he has to do is normal Asura Priest and attack with that. That's literally all he has to do. He attacks with the Yados, so he doesn't do it. Sets monster passes. Draw for turn. I nobleman his set. It's Plague. I set my own monster and pass. He summons Asura. Asura attacks. Raiko pops the Yados. Mills 3. So, yep. Draw for turn. Upstart Goblin. Do I get out of this? I'm at 21. He's at 10,000. I draw for turn. Or not for turn, for the upstart. It's a monster to set. So I'm just sitting here like under the abyss. I have to set monsters every turn. Things are rough. He normal summons Asura, attacks, it's Gillosaurus, passes the turn back, I draw for turn. It is, I believe, a spell card, and it's going to be Fossil Dig. So, I'm in the game. Somehow, miraculously. I grab Sabersaurus, I attack, he drops scores, and I'm just like, well, fuck me. It was never my game to win. Oh, what a frustrating game. I feel like, man. Common Charity was definitely terrible for me this game. I drew multiples. I bricked on them. The game I played the worst was game 1 with the fucking Legacy of Yatagracia, but that was the game I won. I wish I had something to say about this game. This game was 40 minutes long. This is way too long for a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! If you're watching this, my guy, who I played against, Your deck is really cool. I like your deck a lot. You got to play faster. That's pretty much that. But I do like your deck. I think it is pretty cool. And it definitely gave us the hands, especially game 2, game 3. Shitload of spot removal. Creature swap, definitely taking our big guys. And we just were never really able to get anything going. Ever. It was really annoying. It was definitely one of the more annoying matches that I faced. The whole like battle fader, like just like playing slowly thing got to my head, and I was super tired. But that's not that. That was the end of this tournament. I dropped from this tournament. I'm like, I'm not gonna play past 0-2, but I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come back stronger. I'm gonna play Dino in another tournament, and this is the second tournament I entered with Dino. So getting into the second tournament matches, round 1. I'm up against Mario. Mario is playing Stallburn. So, yes, shout out Mario. I'm going to go ahead and skip forward a little bit until the matches actually start. So, you'll see that my main deck has no ways to remove spell and trap cards. So, it's fucking awesome. Why am I getting these matchups? Why am I getting the fucking turbo creature swap Asura Priest Honest deck against my, like, OTK Dinosaur deck or whatever? Why am I getting the fucking Crystal Beast deck against my Defissure deck? Why am I getting Stallburn against my deck with no main deck Typhoon or Heavy Storm? What did I do to deserve this? What did I do to deserve this? He sets a monster, activates Kaiser Coliseum, and passes, and I'm just sitting here like, I have no fucking outs. I just fucking lose. I just can't beat this. I straight up can't beat this game 1. What the fuck is going on? Upstart Goblin. I'm actually going to skip through this entire mess of a match really quickly because I can't beat Kaiser Coliseum game 1. I just can't. So I special summon Guardian Yados. I'm like, maybe I can run over his monster. Maybe it's like a Morphing Jar or something. I attack. It's Marshmallow. I have 1 out to Marshmallow in my entire deck. And it's Brain Control. And I don't have it in my hand. So, off the bat, 2 Floodgates. I have 1 out for one of them. I have 0 outs for the other one. Maybe I draw Brain Control. Maybe he doesn't have a way to do anything. You see how this game goes. I'm just skipping through. I don't even... we finally find Brain Control. We finally clear the fucking guy. We attack. He drops Battle Fader. Okay. He flips Gravity Bind. I'm like over it. I'm over it. I'm side decking. Game 2. Mario's a cool guy. Great guy. But Jesus Christ. Can I get this when I'm playing like the deck that has like breakers or like Raikos or something, like decrees or something like that? Why do I get paired against this? Dude, I just want to go to the tournament and like fucking test against like real decks. I've gotten 3 like fucking insanely fake decks. Anyway, whatever. I set the life points. I'm going first this game. I have a shitload of removal on my sideboard. Hopefully it's good enough. I've got Yados Sabersaurus, set back row pass. He draws return. And he looks at his hand. There's a Lava Golem. Oh, brother. There's a Lava Golem. Set, pass. We take 1,000. It's like the least conventional shit. It's like, man, give me Vayu Turbo. Give me Machina. Give me something. I flip Macrocosmos. I need this Macrocosmos. Sets back row. Maybe there's a play. Maybe there's a hope. He's using Wabaku to stall me out. I attack for 3k. He just takes it. And I'm like, okay, maybe there's a chance. We're both at 5k at the start of next turn. I'm going to Fossil Dig for the Sabersaurus. I have Frostosaurus in hand. I want to make sure and put the Sabersaurus in play. No, I don't. Wow. I am not playing around Kaiser Coliseum at all. He just passes back. We draw, we take 1,000. So now we're both at 5,000. I'm going to go ahead and flip Common Charity. Draw 2. Banish the Sabersaurus. So that's probably why I didn't summon it. But yeah, I should have summoned it. That being said, I didn't want to because I needed to use it for Common Charity, and I needed to keep my Frostosaurus to be able to sacrifice this Lava Golem. I attack here. He's going to use his Battle Fader. I'm going to take this as an opportunity to remove the Lava Golem from play and summon my Frostosaurus and pass the turn back. So another awkward moment for Common Charity. Didn't allow me to compound pressure on the board here, but I think it's quite marginal. I think we're very far ahead this game because he's burned a Wabaku and a Battle Fader just to save his life total. He has Fissure, which is going to deal with Frostosaurus. We're going to draw for turn. His deck is really interesting. It has a really interesting combination of cards that is not... Dude, I just feel like I play against Gravity Bind decks constantly. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm the guy who plays against Gravity Bind decks all of the time. That card is too good. Anyway, Fossil Dig for Gilosaurus. And this is the matchup where I wish I had 3. Because he's playing a Gravity Bind deck or a Level Limit Area B deck. And Gilosaurus is able to attack through that. So if that's one of his back rows, then we're able to run over the Battle Fader. It's also not too bad into Magic Cylinder if he has found that. He activates Deck Lockdown. So this means no more Fossil Dig for me. I find Soul Release. I'm able to banish my monsters, thankfully. I'm a little bit wary of summoning because of another Lava Golem, but I just have to do it. He uses Battle Fader here to survive. Pass the turn back. That's turn 1 on the deck lockdown. He activates Swords of Revealing Light. In my hand, I have a Lightning Vortex. I have a Space Typhoon, I believe. And I decided to just Space Typhoon the Swords of Revealing Light. I don't want to deal with this bullshit. I've been playing this match for 25 minutes. I just want to win this game so that if we go to game 3, I can get an early life lead, and then if we go into time, I can win. Deck Lockdown is going to get destroyed. He's going to set a new back row and pass. We're going to draw for turn. Switch Gilosaurus, attack for 25. He's got Wabaku, so buying himself another turn. Draws for turn. What does he have here? Really makes you think. If he had the the Wave Motion Cannon instead of Deck Lockdown, he probably would have beat us. He's going to Heavy Storm, Road his own Storm, run over the Gilosaurus. Now if he has Gravity Bind here, it'll be very difficult to win because he'll have Gravity Bind plus Stardust Dragon as a way to destroy us. But thankfully we do have Mind Control, and I can go for a game shot this turn. I'm going to normal summon. I'm just going to attack for 25. He's at 25. And that's going to be the game. So thankfully, Mind Control was just lethal, and he didn't have a Gravity Bind or anything like that. But long match, boys, long match. Buckle in. Game 3, he gets to go first. He starts off with draw a card. Of course, you always start off with draw a card. What the fuck am I talking about? Set back row pass. We find Fossil Dig. I'm just gonna activate D-Fissure, normal Sabersaurus, the classic. I'm gonna try to attack. He's got Gravity Bind. I'm like, all right. You got Gravity. All right, sure. Have Gravity Bind. This is on 2x speed, by the way. Look at this. Look at this. We're just gonna watch it. Normal Sabersaurus, attack, flip Gravity Bind. Okay, set back row pass, draw for turn. Set back row, pass. And then we get dust shooted. You get to see our hand, Fossil Dig, Smashing Ground. So whatever he took, we were going to be able to search. We're able to search Gilosaurus here. Chain Macrocosmos to the Fossil Dig so that it will be banished for Gren Maju if we do draw into it. Hopefully we're able to draw into it. We didn't draw into it at all the entire first tournament, but maybe we'll draw into it this game. I attack for 14. He reveals Battle Fader. I'm just like, all right. He draws for turn. Activates Kaiser Coliseum. Passes the turn back. Draw for turn. Attack the Battle Fader. Pass the turn. He draws for turn. Sets back row. Sets 2 more back row. Passes a turn. Draw for turn. Draw phase. He's going to activate Bad Reaction to Samochi. I'm like, okay. He goes gift card, chain gift card. And I chain Typhoon. Target Bad Reaction. So, we would have lost this game in time, but we top decked a Lucky Typhoon, and now we're going to gain 6,000 life points, and now it's going to be impossible for us to lose in time. You'd think. We attack for 14. He sets a back row, passes a turn back, attack again. He activates Scapegoat. Okay. So he's got 4 tokens. Let's kill one. I kill one. Pass a turn back. He draws for turn. Here comes Fissure. Kills my Gillosaurus. I have one more Gillosaurus in my deck. Do I go get it to try and kill these Scapegoat tokens? Okay. Alright. Let's go get it. Let's try and kill these Scapegoat tokens. Attack a token. Pass the turn. He draws for turn. Pass the turn. Draw for turn. Attack a token. Pass a turn. He draws. Sets monster. Passes a turn. I draw for turn. Attack the token. Set 2 new back row. Pass the turn. He draws for turn. Lava Golem's my last kill. Pass the turn. We take 1,000. Down to 13,000 here. Now all he has to do is survive fucking... I don't even know. I flip Common Charity. Draw 2. Banish Sabersaurus. Activate Mind Control. Target his set monster. Reveal that it is Marshmallow. Flip it up so I can kill it with Smashing Ground later. Set monster. Because now I'm no longer locked under Kaiser. Pass the turn back. He switches to defense. Activates Nobleman. There go my fucking Raikos. Oh my god. Take 1,000 down to 12,000. Activate Brain Control down to 11,200. Double Tribute. Tribute set Iados. Draw for turn. Activate Nobleman. Again, banishes the Iados. Passes the turn. Gren Maju. 1 time. I have 3 in my deck. I've drawn over half my deck. Oh my gosh, dude. Gold Sarks. What shall I pick with Gold Sark? Morphing Jar. Okay. Gold Sarks for Morphing Jar. Gold Sark is banished. Pass the turn. I draw for turn. Pass the turn. He draws for turn. Sets back row. Passes the turn. I draw for turn. Normal or special summon Guardian Iados. Special summon Guardian Iados. Normal summon Tyranno Infinity. I'm trying to get these all in play so that when I can eventually find a Dust Tornado, I can just kill the Gravity Bind and attack for game. And I don't have to worry about Kaiser Coliseum. Set back row. Set back row. Pass the turn. He's at 66. I'm at 11,200. Pass the turn back. He draws for turn. I tell him he gets Morphing Jar this turn. He says, no, it's only turn 1. And I'm like, no, you get Morphing Jar this turn. He's like, no, it's only turn 1. It definitely was this turn. But I'm not going to sit here and argue. He has another Lava Golem. I draw. I take 1,000. And I'm playing at a reasonable pace. I just pass back. I don't want to stall him into time. I don't want to win that way. I am not the one playing slowly here. I tell him he gets Morphing Jar this turn. He sets Morphing Jar. Passes the turn. I draw for turn. I take another 1,000 off Lava Golem. I check my back row because I forgot what I set. I just pass the turn back. He draws for turn. Checks his back row. Passes a turn. I draw for turn. Take 1,000. Down to 8,200. Me reading Kaiser Coliseum. Kaiser Coliseum, just pause, hold up here for a moment, is one of the worst worded cards ever. It's worded so fucking poorly. It's worded like he has one monster. I have two monsters. It's worded as though like I cannot place a monster that would then make it so I have greater than him. But if I already have it greater than him, then I should, by the wording on the card, be able to summon more monsters. By the wording on the card. But by the way it's actually ruled, I can't summon more monsters here. So I try to summon Grand Maju, and he's like, you can't do that. And I'm like, what do you mean? The card says I can. The card says if it would then make it. But since it already is more than him, I should be able to summon more, right? Like, that's just how it works. I'm like, all right, I'll just look it up real quick. I'll just look it up real quick because you probably know it better than me because you're the Stallburn player, and I don't know why the fuck I would know this ruling because Kaiser Coliseum sees fucking 0 play. I finally drew Grand Maju, right? With like fucking 12 cards left in my deck. I finally drew one, and I can't even summon it because of fucking Kaiser Coliseum. I'm just sitting here like, oh my fucking god. Oh my fucking god. We find the ruling. Flash forward. Flash forward. He's correct. I can't summon the Grand Maju. He flips Morphing Jar. We discard the cards. Draw 5. We get a minor time extension for the ruling lookup. The judge is now over my shoulder. He's thinking. He's thinking. He's thinking. He's thinking. He's thinking. And I believe at this moment time is called. So it's the end of phase. He needs to deal me 1,600 life points at the end of phase. And he just can't do that. So, unbelievable match. Unbelievably frustrating match. But we do manage a tournament win with Dinosaurs. I don't know how. I don't know how. We should have lost that game. Moving on, 1-0. We're playing up against Frog Heroes, up against Joe. Joe currently has a really good record against me. And out of the games that I've lost to Joe, I believe out of 6 of them, 4 of them he's opened turn 1 dust shoot. So, that's tough. But he does play it, so it happens. I just don't know what it is. He just sacks me. He has good luck against me. That being said, he usually plays Frogs. He usually plays a deck that our deck should beat, right? In theory, right? In theory, it should beat Frogs, right? Set back row. It's a Legacy of Yatagrasu. Pass the turn. I have a Common Charity with no target in hand. I have, I believe, 2 Tyranno Infinities. I'm not sure exactly what I have in hand, but you guys will see. You guys will see what's in my hand. He's going to normal summon Alias. He's going to attack. I activate Legacy of Yata. I'm trying to put the Fear of Gores in his heart. He doesn't know what I'm playing. So I'm trying to give him intel that I'm playing Gores. We take 19, and he dust shoots me turn 1. So you can see my hand was Tyranno Infinity, Grand Maju, Guardian Eatos was the draw off the Legacy. I had Gilosaurus and Common Charity. So just an unbelievably bricked hand. I main deck 1 Grand Maju, and I opened 3 of my 4 late game payoffs. And I drew Common Charity with no target, even though I played 7. And then I also drew no Defissure, no Macrocosmos. And I'm getting dust shooted, and he takes my fucking Cyber Valley. And so I can't keep playing this game. Oh my fucking god, dude. Can I just open Defissure or Macro against the decks that it actually does something against? He's playing Hero Frogs, but yeah, it's going to be a quick one. I go ahead and special summon Eatos, special summon Gilosaurus. Run over his Alias. He didn't take the Eatos, so it means he has Brain Control in hand. It's the only reason he wouldn't take the Eatos here is if he had Brain Control in hand. He obviously has Brain Control in hand, right? Wrong. He doesn't actually have Brain Control. It was on top of his fucking deck. And he top decked Brain Control. So he just doesn't take the Eatos for no reason, even though he had no outs to it. And now his Brain Substitute. And we didn't find Macro or Defissure or anything. So yeah, we're just locked this game. And I end up conceding shortly after. Because our hand just doesn't do anything. And we have no main deck Vortexes. So we have no way to beat this main deck if we just didn't open the floodgates that prevent it. So frustrating. So frustrating. Set back row past the turn, blah, 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 blah. We ended up hitting the card. Sacrifices. Yeah. Not much we can do. Gets Unifrog. Switches to Substitute. Attacks into Mirror Force. I believe I had a Mirror Force. Yeah. But, yeah. How many cards in the deck was this? Draw for turn. Upstart Goblin. So, 1 off the first draw phase. 1 off the Legacy. Then we put 1 back. So that doesn't count. That evens out. Then 1 off the next draw phase. So that's 8. 2 off Common Charity. That's 10. 3 off Upstart Goblin. And still no D-Fissure, no macro. So, yeah, we're going next game. 11 cards deep. No D-Fissure, no macro, no Soul Release. What were the odds on that again? 4%? The next game's a good one, though. It's a real good one. You'll like the next game. You guys are going to like the next one. You guys are going to like the next game. I liked the next game. I'm going first. So I draw 6 cards. Guess what's not in my hand? D-Fissure, macro, or Soul Release. I pass the turn. He draws for turn. What do frog players always do? Normal summon Substitute. Okay. 6 card opening hand. Swap Frog. Send Treeborn Frog. Alright. Bounce Swap Frog. Pass the turn. That's what frog players always do, right? I'm looking at my hand. I've got Brain Control. I've got Gilosaurus. I've got Sabersaurus. I've got double Eodos. What do I lose to? Fossil Dig. Go get Gilosaurus. Special Gilosaurus. Activate the effect. He's special Substitute in defense. Special Eodos. Special Eodos. Normal Sabersaurus. Brain Control, take the Substitute. Do you have Gores? Do you think he has Gores in his top 6? Do you think he has it? Of course he does. Of course he fucking 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 has Gores. Dude, I can't draw one of fucking 8 of. And he hits the perfect one-ofs both games. I do not believe this match. I was so tilted. I insta-scooped. I was just like, this is like the most tilted I've ever been. I'm like, I do not want to play this game. I flip him off, and I say, good games. We're friends. Obviously, don't flip off your opponents. Show good sportsmanship. We're boys, so it's okay. But, oh my God. What the fuck? I can't have anything. I draw a cool hand. I finally draw an OTK hand, and just like... Next match is up against Machina Frogs. You wouldn't know it, though, because he draws 8 back row both games. Yep. High roll. I roll a 2. So I'm 1-4 in die rolls. 1-4, yeah. 1-4 in tournament die rolls. He rolls a 9. Yep. Up against Damien. Up against that boy. I'm looking at my hand. I'm like, I'm going second, but I've got a D-Fissure and a macro. Maybe I can make something work. He draws for turn. Turn 1 Gear Frame. I'm like, alright. He searches the Machina Fortress. Pitches Special Swap Frog. And I'm just sitting here like, I have D-Fissure. I have macro. I have the cards to stop this. But I'm going fucking second. It's so frustrating. I'm just like literally gambling on coin flips at this point. I'm gambling on coin flips. He bounces a Gear Frame, whatever, sets back or whatever. Okay, Upstart Goblin. Okay. Maybe I have a shot this game. Upstart Goblin, what does it find me? I finally have D-Fissure and macro. What does it find me? What does it find me? Who knows? I have D-Fissure 2 back row. I have no monster to summon here. He summons Gear Frame. So clearly, little monster light hand. He's going to go ahead and search his Machina Fortress. Now the rulings with Machina Fortress, I believe, are interesting. On Dimensional Fissure. We're going to go ahead and Google them. So you guys know. I believe you can summon it under Defissure. I believe you can. But I don't know if you can summon it from hand unless you pitch in. So, like, here's how it is. I think, if I'm remembering this correctly, if Defissure's in play, you can summon it from your grave if you pitch monsters that are 8 or more. Doesn't matter. The monsters you pitch don't need to hit the graveyard. If it's in your hand, the other cards you pitch have to equal 8 or more. Because he can't count himself because... I'm pretty sure that's how it works. I need to look this up, though, to be sure. Let's see if this edisonformat.com has it, because Google is not helping me out there. Oh my gosh. Dude, this has been such a nightmare. Like, playing this deck in tournament. You can tell my hand right now, it has no monsters, right? So, you guys can tell that, right? It has no monsters. Alright, let's see. If Macrocosmos Dimensional Filter is active, you cannot discard Machina Fortress and another machine type monster to special summon that copy of Machina Fortress, since after being discarded, Machina Fortress will be removed from play. Yeah. So basically he needs to discard a monster that is greater than 8 stars on its own, or monsters that are greater than 8 stars on their own, to summon it from his hand. So he could summon one of his Machina Fortresses by pitching a Gear Frame and a Machina Fortress. I don't know if he knows that. I'm pretty sure he doesn't know that. I draw Cyber Valley. Great. Pass the turn back. Pray for no Monarch. Activate Heavy Storm. Chain Starlight Road. Special summon Stardust Dragon. I'm thinking on the battle position. He hasn't summoned his Machina Fortress, so I'm thinking maybe he doesn't know. But whatever. He's got enemy controller. He's got Mirror Force. He's got a whole bunch of ways to punish this. Cyber Valley is going to activate. I draw a card. He's going to summon a second Gear Frame, so fuck me, right? Searches for, I believe, a third... No, he searches for Machina Force. So now he could, theoretically, banish his Machina Force to summon a Machina Fortress from his hand. I don't think he knows that, but he can theoretically do that. My hand is Gillosaurus, Tyranno Infinity, and I believe a trap card, which I'm not certain. I can't see what the trap card is. I flip Macrocosmos. I flip Jar of Greed. So yeah. Multiple copies of Legacy, Jar of Greed. I drew another Macrocosmos, so I have 3 copies of Macro, Defissure. I'm going to normal summon the Gillosaurus. He's reading it just to get an idea of what it does. Sorry about the camera being a little off center. It got bumped somewhere in between these 2 matches. I don't fucking remember. I don't know, man. Gillosaurus attacks and banishes the Swap Frog. I set 2 and pass. End phase, he compulses the Stardust Dragon. And I'm like, well, that's rough. He attacks the Gillosaurus. We take 400. He attacks for 18. We drop to 4,000. He passes the turn back. We draw a third Tyranno Infinity. I flashed it for the camera there. I activate Legacy of Yatagrasu. The card I drew was Sabersaurus. So, a normal summon. I attack. He flips Mirror Force. Okay, I'm at 4,000. I have no way to stop this game shot if he goes for it. He doesn't go for it. So I take 18. I take 18 again. I drop to 400. He sets it back, run passes. I draw for turn. It's Upstart Goblin. He gets another 1,000. He's at 10k now. But I do have 3 banished dinosaurs, 2 banished dinosaurs. I can finally summon a Tyranno Infinity and try to run over a Gear Frame. I attack. He just switches it to defense, and I lose this game. As you can see, I had double Defissure, double Macro, triple Tyranno Infinity in hand. And he just drew, like I said, 3 trap cards, and he went first, and he had Heavy Storm, but we had Road, but it didn't matter, because I didn't have a fucking opening play. I only had one summon the entire game, which was the Sabersaurus, or one like valid summon that could get over a gear frame. So weird game for sure. Drawing multiple Tyranno Infinities. Both games against Frogs, I bricked on 3 of my payoff cards early. So yeah, definitely a problem with this deck that Lightning Vortex fixes completely, which is again another reason why Lightning Vortex needs to be in the main deck. Not that we would have drawn Lightning Vortex that game, because that was like a strange 7-card full house brick. But what can you do? Moving forward, Upstart Goblin definitely getting cut. One of for Lightning Vortex, so maybe we would have drawn it. Who knows? Who knows, boys? If you just knew the Machina Fortress ruling, we would have lost much earlier. So that's kind of the way I'm seeing it anyway. It doesn't really matter that we bricked, because if he had just known the rulings, which I'm sure he will now if he watches this, Damien, if you're watching this, you can summon Machina Fortress under Defissure and Macro if you pitch Force from hand. Fun fact. We open up our hand. No Defissure, no Macro. Draw 2 cards. Finally find the Defissure. Finally find it. Turn 1. Turn 1 Defissure, finally. He sets a back row. He passes. We draw for turn. What do we draw? What do we draw? Normal Gila. Normal Sabersaurus. Special Gila. Normal Sabersaurus. This might have been an overcommitment for me. I attack with both, though. He takes 3,300. I've got a Lightning Vortex in hand. How can I possibly lose this game? I'm super far ahead. End phase dusts my back row. Hits a bottomless. Sets a new back row from his own side. He draws for turn. He sets a monster. Sets a back row pass. Dupe Frog here, Substitute here is tough for me. I can't get over that with my current board. So I have to sacrifice Gilosaurus for Frostosaurus. He's flashing into the camera like, what the fuck is this? I take a break to read to him the flavor text on Frostosaurus. He's dying. You can see he's dying of laughter. He's suffocating. He can't handle it. He's like, hold it up to the camera so they can read it too, is what he says. Anyway, I attack with Frostosaurus. He shows the Mirror Force. We lose both our guys. So 3-for-1 Mirror Force. Fucking rough, man. Dust the Defissure. Fucking rough. We have Vortex, but we need to find another... What is it? Another card. And he has Junk Synchron, which is like the best card against us. It's like actually the best card against us. He makes a smart play not sacrificing it and going for a dupe block that could potentially just be outed. And decides to just preserve the Junk Synchron. Very smart play. Yeah, Junk Synchron is going to be just basically impossible for us to beat here. I believe I did draw Grand Maju, which is 2,000 right now. But I have no way to defend it. So if I summon it and run over the frog, then he can just go bring back Treeborn, Goyo Guardian, steal it, basically. He attacks for 2,300 here. Bounces the Junk Synchron, passes the turn. Maybe I should have forced the action because... Yeah, I don't know. I draw Soul Release. So, at this point I do have a play. It's Vortex him and then Soul Release. Banish both our graves. Normal Grand Maju. If he has Torrential here and he wants to use it, it would be the best time to use it now. He has 3 cards in hand, 4 cards in hand. You can see another trap card in his hand as well. I Lightning Vortex, pitch Lightning Vortex. And you can see the strength of Lightning Vortex. And it's just really good. Pulls up both his guys. He's going to chain Compulsory, put the Substo back in his hand. And that's really bad for me. So I'm going to go ahead and banish his 2 monsters and 3 of ours. My monster's going to get really strong here. I'm going to attack for a bunch. Does he have Gores? He drops to 34, I think. No, he drops to 15, I think. Yeah, he was at 43. He's going to pitch Special Fortress. He's going to normal Substitute. He could make the dupe block here, but he decides to crash and blow up the Grand Maju. Also a respectable play. He attacks for 100. We drop to 33. He activates. He could have... I don't know if he used the Force to summon the Fortress there, but if he still had Force in hand, he could have brought back the Machina Fortress and blocked us. But he bounces it, sets the back row, passes. I draw Fossil Dig. Now I could try to game shot him if I had a third Gillosaurus in my deck, but even then it would be rough because I special Gillosaurus, he can just special back Machina Fortress, so it doesn't really work, unfortunately. So I think I just activate Defissure and pass. What's happening here? Why am I taking so long to think about this? Oh, I guess I do Fossil Dig. I mean, if this Tyranno Infinity connects, I win the game. So, I figured I'd just put it into play. But he has Torrential, so yeah, kind of tough. I should have activated Defissure first before summoning it. I didn't predict Torrential there for some reason. I don't know why. He sacks for Ryza, and that's going to be game because we're at 33. So, yeah, he drew Torrential, Mirror Force, Compulsory, Dust Tornado, like a whole bunch of back row. And we weren't able to really play through all of it. It was an awkward game where the plays he made lined up really well against the plays we made. But I don't know. I think I maybe could have stolen this victory had I just activated the Defissure and passed. He goes bring back Treeborn, sack for Ryza, bounce it, and then the next turn I Fossil Dig for Tyranno and attack him for game. I wouldn't have been able to attack him for game because he has Torrential set. Right. That's right. But then he would have been forced to Torrential. But then we died at any summon. I think even Swap Frog kills us because we took 24 from the Ryza. Tough game. Tough game. He kind of drew like really well and it just lined up really well against us. He had the out for the first Defissure, and then by the time we found the second one, he was too well set up. Yeah, I don't know. It was a really tough game. I think having multiple soul releases or drawing multiple soul releases is really important in this matchup. Lightning Vortex was obviously good, but by the time we had found both our Lightning Vortex, the Defissure had been popped. I don't know. But that's it. I dropped from this tournament after this at 1-2. So went 1-4 with Dinos in tournament games. Very frustrating tournament games, I would say. Playing this deck is very frustrating. Do not play this deck if, I don't know. Don't play it exactly like it is if you want to have fun. I think it's a very frustrating deck to play. I think it is pretty good against Frogs. I think it is pretty good against Blackwings. And I think it's pretty good against the Raikou decks. But I think it needs a few changes here and there. And I'm sure you guys can do something with it. Like I said, I think these are the changes I was going to make. Or was it? I lost it. Is this it? This might be it. Yeah, these are the changes I was going to make. I was going to try this out. But I don't know. Maybe there's a better way to play this. Common Charity didn't feel super consistent. The Upstart Goblins felt really bad. I hate giving people life points, but they really did dig us to the cards we needed when we needed them, so it's give and take for sure. Tyranno Infinity, it worked for us in the matches against Blackwings. It worked for me in a lot of other matches prior that I didn't show you because I was playing different builds. But in the actual tournament matches, it just didn't line up. Opponent always had back row for it, and they were always pretty far ahead by the time I got a chance to really deploy the Tyranno, either in life points so that it didn't matter that I was deploying him, or in card advantage so that they always had the answer. Or they were positionally playing some type of bullshit like fucking Gravity Bind. So that's awesome. Battle Fader, that type of shit. So try it out. Let me know what you guys think. And again, RBET is this weekend. I'll see you guys then. Peace.